3 years back, some guy blinked awake like it was just another Tuesday. His surroundings hit different, definitely not the usual bedroom vibes. One peek outside confirmed it. Goodbye reality, hello something else entirely. Somehow, he'd glitched into the very game he used to grind on weekends. The title screen might as well have flashed. Heroic Legends of Arhan, Live Edition. The game's whole thing? Chaos, drama, and way too many plot twists. Bonus points for non-stop chaos at the academy, teen angst included. Crises showed up like clockwork, no cooldowns, no breaks. All of it built up to an undead apocalypse that really went off the rails. The story screamed overkill, but the guy, totally unbothered, main character's problem, not his. Enter Corin, reincarnated as tutorial guy #5. Hero saves villagers, he waves politely. He wandered through town like the script would magically fix itself. Bored and mildly curious, he decided to scout the guy destined for main character status, Park Sihu. That's when he noticed some dude ranting about system specs. Oh what? Bit odd, considering GPS didn't exactly exist here. Next thing, the guy launched into an intense life hacks monologue, efficiency or bust. Corin nearly tackled him out of joy. Finally, a fellow Earth survivor. Plot twist, that nerdy ranter, Park Sihu, the chosen one, now awkwardly stuck in sprite form. Then Sihu started speedrunning monsters, and the skill gap hit like a truck. His cheat code, the legendary stat window, Akau magic. One tiny hiccup. He had no idea what he was doing, never touched the game before. Good thing Corin was around. Int boost here, skill book drop there, build guide incoming. He'd basically 100% cleared the game. Corin was the unofficial Wiki in human form. With him on board, the game turned into easy mode deluxe. Then, mid-nerd talk, something toothy lunged straight at Corin's back. Sihu stood unfazed, like danger was just background noise. Without missing a beat, he stepped in like a walking wall. He glanced back, casually checking if Corin was still in one piece. Corin twirled his spear with flair, gratitude delivered with a flourish. Still, he was painfully aware he wasn't even mid-tier. His role came with limits. He couldn't just go off script. But thanks to his insider intel and Sihu's overpowered toolkit, together they were the glitch-proof dream team, ready to stack saves like trophies. World saving? Check. Homecoming plan? Definitely in progress. No room for doubts. Post-battle, Sihu tossed over a budget elixir. Corin took it, curious but grateful. While sipping, one annoying thought crept in. The party, pure dude squad, not exactly what the game trailer promised. The game used to sell fantasy adventures and a colorful cast of heroines. And yeah, a sprinkle of dating sim drama for flavor. But Sihu had zero interest in romance arcs. Girl characters joined only when strictly required. Result? Boys only brigade. Corin wasn't thrilled, but that wasn't the real red flag. Then out of nowhere, the Sword Emperor's granddaughter died pre-entrance ceremony. Major plot break. And Marie Dunarev, the first boss, poof, gone without a trace. Vanishings and deaths stacked up like a bad true crime series. Clearly, the game's script had gone rogue. Worst part, even Sihu's thinking didn't match the player he remembered. His personality felt off, like it wasn't patched right. But Corin, still riding the trust train, zero suspicion, zero hesitations. Marie, the first boss and fan-favorite heroine, never showed up, just vanished before their path crossed. Later, her staff showed up in Sihu's underground hideout, major red flag. Corin trailed the night walks and uncovered a whole hidden lair, not your average storage unit. The place looked like a collector's dream. Artifacts lined up like trophies. Among them, Odachi, the sword lost with another vanished hero. Every item in that room screamed one thing, missing character merch. And the further they advanced, the stranger it got. Shock hit hard. Marie was there, not gone, just caged. She floated in lab tank, chained like some twisted science project. The boss of Chapter 1, reduced to lab decor. Yikes. Just as things clicked, Sihu popped up like a jump scare. No greeting, just a cold, why are you here, vibe. Corin pushed back, confused. Sihu claimed he'd lost Marie in the past. Sihu shrugged it off, said she was just another demon. According to him, her vampire blood was better off fueling his own upgrades. Oh, in surprise, he'd already chugged a good portion. That's when Corin's stomach dropped. The elixir he drank earlier? Not so standard. Nausea hit hard. He dropped to his knees, completely rattled. Meanwhile, Sihu casually mentioned the month-long forest trap effort, like it was a flex. Corin asked the one thing on his mind. Why? Sihu explained it was all about efficiency. Corin's moral path? Too grindy. He was tired of losing while babysitting NPCs. No kills, no shortcuts, just exhausting friendships. So he min-maxed them like loot and bragged he was the better player. Corin finally saw it. Sihu had faked the whole noob act. Speechless, he asked one last question. How many? Sihu answered without blinking. He casually mentioned needing just 3 more to hit the big 100k kill count. The number didn't shock as much as the realization. This guy wasn't human at all. Corin snapped and lunged, but Sihu stayed chill, brushing it off like NPCs were just background noise. Corin fired back, pointing out those kills were world-ending villains, not just some pixel puppets. Then came the big question. If Sihu worshipped efficiency so much, why snatch a knight's sword when he was clearly a mage? Corin added the regular elixir worked just fine. No evil farm setup needed. All this extra effort, it wasn't strategy. It was just Sihu needing something to punch emotionally. That line hit deep. Sihu's smile cracked. Sihu snapped and went straight for Corin's face. One magic burst later, Corin slammed into the tank like a rag doll. Dazed and barely upright, Corin's vision started to blur. Sihu strolled over, acting offended, as if Corin owed him a thank you card. He leaned in, all intense, demanding to be seen as Corin's whole world like it was some twisted friendship badge. He ranted how Corin was always busy meddling or girl-watching. Sihu was officially done holding back. Corin froze. Whatever this was, it had stopped making any sense. Crawling back in panic, he wondered when the chill game turned into a horror route after 199 friendly episodes. Sihu calmly explained he'd cleared every obstacle for Fem, even stacking the party with dudes for a reason. The others, just scenery. Corin was the only one in his save file. Corin panicked, decided, nope, and decked him straight in the jaw. Sprinting for his life, he mourned the fact he hadn't even gotten a girlfriend yet. But Sihu pulled out a binding spell mid-chase. Vines snagged his leg like nature itself said, "You're not going anywhere." The vines went full wrap, escape mode, denied. They tightened like a boss-level hug, one that hurts. Pinned and desperate, Corin started begging for a timeout. Sihu blocked his path, calmly announcing this was a forever deal. No exits, no escape. He made it clear, Corin Loke was his, not up for sharing. In Sihu's warped world, Corin was the one real thing that mattered. Corin broke down, tears streaming as panic took over. Sihu began casting, promising the end was just moments away. His grand finale, an eternal duo, trapped in his fantasy forever. Corin blinked, now stranded under starry skies on an endless ocean. Sihu's handcrafted prison. A glowing alert popped up, final stage initiated. Corin realized the boss fight had begun. Sihu had been steamrolling everything solo, and odds were he'd beat this one too. That thought made Corin's stomach drop. What came after the win? Then out of nowhere, challenge failed, player dead. Corin froze, brain buffering in disbelief. Just like that, the rewind button was hit. Corin jolted awake in his bed, heart racing. He shot up, face still haunted by flashbacks from the last loop. One glance outside told him everything. He was 3 years in the past, right back to day one. Fresh start, again. He clenched his fists, heat bubbling under his skin. Silent tears slid down, but his gaze stayed sharp. One mission now, take down the twisted protagonist before things got weird again. Fast forward, Russian River overflowed mid-quest, wiping out a whole village in seconds. Thousands drowned, humans and monsters alike, swallowed by the flood. Sihu somehow looked thrilled. Disaster seemed like a hobby to him. Back then, Corin brushed off the creepy grin, figuring it was just Sihu being weird. But now it all clicked. Mass death was just free exposition. The memory of Sihu wiping out nearly 100,000 lives still clung to Corin like smoke. Even so, Corin wasn't about to sit this one out. Sihu had to be stopped. Right now, they were neck and neck at rank 5, but Merkaba Academy was a power-up factory waiting for Sihu. That academy flipped the switch. Sihu leveled up fast after joining. Sihu wasn't a monster yet, but Corin wasn't taking chances. He bolted into the forest with urgency. Only 5 days left till the academy gates opened. To prep, he snatched a few crucial mushrooms, classic level-up ingredients. Translation: this was his last real shot at stopping Sihu. Later, a carriage quest popped up, stranded in a monster-filled forest, classic setup. The job? Keep everyone alive until the wheels were rolling again. Sihu teamed up with the knights. Leon and Laura impressed. They tossed him a few compliments. He took the praise like candy, grateful even. Word came in, carriage fixed, time to move out. Leon perked up. Laura was already dreaming of pillows and blankets. Then the forest roared, and not the friendly kind. A giant log came flying straight at their faces. Leon dove in, shoving Laura clear of the hitbox. He barely sidestepped the crash himself. Close call. They scrambled up fast. The howls were unmistakable. Beowulf, a rank 2 demon beast with a serious attitude. The Beowulf stomped out, roaring like it owned the map. Corin burst in, just seconds too late, sprinted from the moment the quest pinged. If he'd made it in time, things might have gone differently for those knights. But the Beowulf wasted no time. Laura was first on its list. Leon barked out orders. Sihu was to run while he held the beast off. Sihu waved the driver off. He wasn't bailing on Leon that easily. A girl tried to hold him back, but he stood firm. Ditching Leon wasn't an option. Before he could react, the Beowulf showed up, gripping Leon like a rag doll. Sihu locked up, eyes wide, totally stunned. Watching from the shadows, Corin needed one answer. Was Sihu the destined hero, or just another player from his own world? Sihu was definitely sweating. The monster was massive. The Beowulf roared again, loud, proud, and not friendly. Out of nowhere, the sword girl from the carriage made her move. She launched herself at the beast, blade first. The beast blocked her strike like it was nothing, ouch to her pride. She backed off fast, reassessing the threat level. She motioned for Sihu to stay back. She'd take it from here. That stylish swordswoman, Alicia Arden, second daughter of House Arden and wielder of the legendary Odachi. Alicia wasn't just cool, she was top-tier party material. Sihu pulled out a knife, visibly rattled. Even if it was a tutorial, he knew this scene had rare Alicia content. And then he drove the knife straight into her back. Corin froze. He'd seen enough. Yep, same ruthless Sihu after all. Alicia turned, dazed, silently asking what that was for. Her knees wobbled. Something was off. Poison. Sihu smiled, brushing it off with a fake excuse. Nerves, supposedly. Meanwhile, the Beowulf wasn't done, eyes still on Alicia. She wasn't folding that fast. Alicia still had fight left. She blocked the hit, but Sihu remembered. Her death unlocked her blade and paved the way for an even cooler recruit, Swordmaster Lunia. She was still standing. Of course, the poison wasn't enough. She was a key NPC after all. She sprang back, holding her ground with practiced grace. But her body wobbled, poison finally kicking in while she steadied her breath. She shut her eyes, tuning out everything but her own heartbeat. One breath, eyes open, focus fully locked in. In a flash, she entered her ace stance. Quick draw position engaged. The Beowulf charged again, claws primed. This time she wasn't backing down, she aimed to end it. Sihu realized she might actually win without him. Not good. So he raised another poisoned blade. She couldn't be allowed to steal the glory. The knife flew straight for her back. Reflexes sharp, she swatted the blade away midair. In that instant it clicked, his earlier slip wasn't an accident. But that pause gave the Beowulf its opening. She countered fast, instincts kicking in. Her sword found its mark deep in the Beowulf's neck. But it struck back hard, fangs sinking in deep. Both collapsed. Alicia lay there, breath faint and fading. Voice shaking, she looked up, still searching for a reason. Sihu didn't answer, he just took the blade and turned away. The blade needed a rare skill, whatever. He'd figure that part out later. Then something clicked in his memory. Oh right, NPC kills give XP bonus. Before heading off, he glanced back at her, silent and still. She hit the ground, tears slipping out as her world blurred and dimmed fast. The last thing her eyes caught was a demon's shadow looming over. Out of nowhere, a puff bomb smacked Park Sihu. Poof, mystery powder everywhere. Q non-stop coughing, he was basically choking on glittery dust. Through the hacking, he tried to figure out what kind of cursed spice this was. His face was covered like a powdered donut, still zero clue what hit him. Furious, he roared into the trees, demanding the mystery powder prankster show up. Instead, a horde of oversized mutant rats burst out like it was feeding time. Apparently that powder, pure topanic mushroom, monster snack supreme courtesy of Corinala. To the monsters, Sihu now smelled like takeout dipped in their favorite seasoning. They pounced, and while Sihu flailed mid-chaos, fists and fur flew. Corin saw the opening, scooped up the barely conscious Alicia, and booked it. On the way, he spotted the Beowulf. She dropped like a pro. Without hesitation, pulled out a fang, quick loot for later. Mid-extraction, a familiar voice barked behind him, nearly made him drop the fang. Sihu blinked, teleported behind him, sword ready, grilling him like a surprise pop quiz. Spotting the trio of dead horn rats, Corin figured that blade wasn't just for show. The voice hit differently, too familiar to ignore. Recognition hit hard. Corin standing there like a plot twist. Sihu asked how Corin even showed up, only to get a cryptic memory check in return. Corin smirked, casually hinting that Sihu's grip made hand loss a real possibility. Sihu blinked, looked down, clearly unsure what he was doing wrong. That pause was all Corin needed. Distraction level achieved. In a flash, Corin threw sand straight into Sihu's face like a stage magician. Now half-blind, Sihu stumbled, vision scrambled like a bad TV signal. Sihu swung wildly, a bit clumsy but fast enough to keep Corin guessing. Corin knew Sihu's strength was no joke, so he pushed harder, no room for mercy. Fang in hand, Corin lunged, but Sihu dodged just in time, smooth and sharp. Corin played mind games, knowing Sihu feared that fang like a nightmare close to his neck. Sihu's face tightened, eyes locked on the fang like it was the only danger left. He went full defense mode, blind to everything but that sharp threat. Exactly what Corin had planned all along. Trap set, player caught. Panic bubbled up as Corin kept the pressure high, no way out. Suddenly, Corin whipped out a hidden knife, ready for the final move. Sharp pain, Sihu's shoulder took a quick jab from the blade. A sharp cry cut through the fight. Sihu was feeling it, but Corin wasn't done. He aimed to finish with the Beowulf's deadly fang. The fang nearly touched Sihu's neck, tension peaking. In a desperate move, Sihu blocked it, losing his hand instead of his life. Tears streamed as he fought the pain, just shy of a fatal strike. Still, his defense cracked, and the fang pierced through. Game over. Hands shaking, Corin silently thanked Sihu, crediting him for the strength gained. No regrets. Corin knew this was the moment he earned. He had finally taken down the monster everyone feared. Then the game system glitched hard, error messages flashing everywhere. With Sihu gone, the system scrambled to fix the main player's spot. It ran stats, checked Corin's fit, and just like that, crowned him the new main hero. Experience points transferred. Corin earned the fancy title, AAA, Class Knight Martial Master's successor. Seeing the message, Corin hoped this meant his own stat window was finally unlocking. But the real focus snapped back to Alicia Arden, still needing help. Alicia was still on the ground, lungs working overtime like she'd just finished a marathon. He scooped her up fast, but her eyes were glazed, barely holding focus. With the dizziness, ringing ears, and funky tongue, he connected the dots, classic peacock tree frog poison. That stuff was tough to brew without a proper combo tool. Lucky for her, the mix was weak, or she'd be toast. The fang was still in her, and the clock was ticking. He had to act before things got worse. He yanked off his belt, made a quick tourniquet, and flexed his emergency skills like he'd done this before. Since she might chomp her tongue mid-treatment, he searched for a makeshift mouthguard. That tiny detail triggered a mental flash of Sihu. His gaze drifted to Sihu's still body, now just part of the scenery. He slid his hand between her teeth, desperate times, weird solutions. Whatever came next was going to sting, so biting down hard was fully encouraged. While tugging the fang loose, he pondered the time skip. 3 years rewound, 1 player down. The one who hadn't made it before was now here, breathing, thanks to him. Her muffled cry echoed as the fang came free, painful, but progress. As she slipped into unconsciousness, he figured saving 1 life might be reason enough for all this. Later on, the vibe shifted. Campfire, pot bubbling, real RPG energy. When she blinked awake, the air smelled medicinal. He was brewing her a fix. He tossed in a casual reminder, humans don't break that easy. She glanced at his outfit and tried to get his name out. Instead, he plopped a towel on her head, mystery hero vibes fully intact. He nudged her to rest, preferring his backstory to stay off the grid. As he mulled things over, the plot clicked. The legend of Arhan wasn't just a name, it was a roadmap. The hero cleaned up messes and mysteries around the academy like it was part of the job. A lead, a world-saving legend in the making. The goal? Crush villains, level up, and eventually face the endgame boss. The only reason Sihu stuck around? If the big bad wasn't defeated, the world would hit a hard reset. But now that Sihu was gone, someone else had to fill those world-saving shoes. As a AAA knight and backup protagonist, he figured he'd step up. Still, it bugged him. The system picked him, sure, but didn't exactly roll out the red carpet. No perks, no stats, not even a shiny menu to click, just vibes. He spotted the stat window once and got hyped, only for it to be pure decoration. Being a side character with secondhand memories and no system perks was rough, so he had to get creative. 3 years of pushing his limits turned him from NPC material to main character ready. Along the way, he picked up a few flashy tricks, like casually summoning fireballs, just another Tuesday. Back then, survival had been his only skill. Since magic flunked him, he switched majors to ancient runes with real bite. 3 key runes stood out: duty, restraint, oath. Together, they formed the legendary runes of Troth. These weren't just letters, they were the universe's cheat codes. They could grant insane power or total wipeout. So he made the bold call, ink all 3 onto himself. And for ink, he went full metal, his own blood. First up, the rune of duty, neat and glowing. Duty gave bonus points for sticking to personal rules, though skipping chicken didn't really move the needle. Easy vows meant weak boosts. He needed something heavier. It had to be tough but doable, so he swore to never ignore good people in trouble. As the vow settled in, the rune lit up like it meant business. Now every fulfilled quest meant growth, fail, and the system would dock him hard. Next on the list, the rune of restraint. He set a weird rule for himself: no seeing spirits, no matter what. This world ran on vibes. Ghosts and spirits floated around, totally untouchable, but very real. Spirits needed a spiritual handshake to do anything, which meant they couldn't mess with anyone spiritually offline. Thanks to that rule, ghosts couldn't touch him, but physical enemies hit twice as hard. High risk, high reward. The no-ghost rule basically turned into a full-on spiritual force field, blocking both friendly and freaky phantoms. The final rune, Oath, came with massive baggage, serious power, serious consequences. That's exactly why even someone like Park Sihu avoided it before. Too much heat. But Park Sihu still failed, even with every cheat code. That meant it was time to go all in. So he made the boldest promise possible: save the whole world, no pressure. With that, the final rune lit up, binding his very soul to his mission. The system chimed in, making it official. The rune of Troth was now his thing. If he bailed on the promise, the system would hit him with a game over, permanent style. Later, Alicia blinked awake in a bed, groggy and confused. She tried to bolt upright, but a nurse strolled in, casually checking on her. With no clue where she'd landed, the nurse filled her in. It was Workabout City's ER. She asked about her mystery rescuer, only to learn he'd already dipped. Still grounded in bed, she scanned the room for her things. Right next to her was a bag, and inside it, Corin Locke's belt, stained from saving her. She recognized it instantly. Lifting it gently, she spotted dry blood on the strap. Her eyes sharpened. She called the nurse over like she had a mission. The intensity made the nurse twitch a little, but all Alicia asked for was honey bomb candy. The nurse blinked, then suggested porridge instead. 4 days post-tutorial, and it was finally time for Merkaba Academy's grand entrance day. Corin Loke flipped open his wallet, hoping his student ID hadn't grown legs. Instead, out came a mysterious letter he definitely didn't remember packing. The letter came from his family, full of warmth, pride, and a gentle nudge to be a hero like the ones who shaped him. Corin might have been average on paper, but having a family like that made him feel like a jackpot winner. Even when he was awkward and new, they acted like he'd always belonged. Bit by bit, the place and its people grew on him like moss on a comfy rock. Unlike Park Sihu, he had something priceless, a real reason to care. Meanwhile, back at Merkaba Academy, things were just getting weird. Students stared at the army of trains like they'd accidentally entered a rail station, not a school. A tiny fashion-forward girl popped up, commanding attention like she ran the place. Corin stood tall. She approved. Clearly, he was the type who needed second helpings. Out of the blue, she handed him a potato. He blinked, unsure if it was a snack or initiation. Once everyone packed into the train like it was Hogwarts Express Light, she launched into a full campus tour, casually dropping that she was Maria Dunaref, the Maria Dunaref, top mage, second year, major future. But fate, yeah, it had plot twists lined up for her. And behind the sweet smile, a final boss waiting to be unleashed. Chapter 1's Endgame. Tour done, she handed out potatoes like party favors, one regular, one sweet. With a cheerful wave, she vanished, leaving behind carbs and confusion. The crowd shuffled into Merkaba's main hall, still buzzing from starch overload. Corin clocked the distortion first, classic space expansion magic kicking in. Everyone else, full-blown panic mode like the floor was melting. A voice boomed, scolding the newbies for losing it over basic wizardry. Corin didn't even blink. This was classic old man Heyman, barking like a drill sergeant on a magical boot camp mission. History here meant epic wars with evil tribes. Superhumans fought them, and Merkaba was their power-up factory. Enter Fermac Damon, the night faculty prof, stepping up as this year's hype man. Corin watched like he was at a reunion show. The speech hit hard, but let's be real. Half these kids probably couldn't magic their way out of a paper bag. First up, time to see who actually had the goods and who was just good at pretending. A glowing screen popped up, flashing everyone's stats like it was some kind of fantasy scoreboard. Corin Loke frowned at the numbers but gave a nod to his above-average brawn. At least he wasn't all zeros. Professor Fermac pointed them to numbered spots, like lining up for a super competitive game of dodgeball. Corin found himself at rank 6 out of 400. Not a math genius, but yeah, that stung a little. The professor grinned like a prank was about to drop and casually tossed them a "good luck." Before anyone could react, the whole class got blinked out like they were in a glitchy game. The academy bigwigs watched from above, whispering about this batch having a few hidden powerhouses. One of the professors, not into spoilers, asked them to chill on judging the top ranks until everyone had their shot. The second ranks had Alicia Arden, swordmaster royalty with the attitude to match. Yuel, a forest-born druid, probably smelled like pine cones and magic. Doran Worski, mercenary, brooding, and likely paid by the scowl. Cornell Luden, who casually commanded stone giants like it was no big deal. And of course, topping the list was the elusive, untouchable rank 1. Corin, better known as the Soaring Fiend, looked more like a final boss than a freshman. One professor stared at the tiny menace and silently questioned all of the director's life choices. Another staff member grumbled that even 5th ranks looked shaky. Maybe they should just skip testing the 6s and save everyone the time. She shot him a sharp look, reminding him that everyone deserved a shot, even the underdogs. Slightly spooked, the guy zipped his mouth and moved things along without protest. Weapon cases rained from the sky like loot drops from a fantasy RPG. Corin blinked as one thudded in front of him. Didn't expect airdrop gear, but he wasn't complaining. A voice casually announced a monster invasion in 30 seconds. Survive if you can. Welcome to Combat 101. As the timer ticked, Corin opened the case calmly, seen this before, and knew what came next. Most rookies would panic and grab a sword by default. It made that rookie move before too. The arena shimmered, and the first wave of monsters began crawling in. The monsters, 5th rank short hounds, mean, fast, and definitely not cuddle material. Corin recalled the old training motto and figured spears were the shortcut to greatness. With zero hesitation, he grabbed his spear like it was destiny. With his decision locked in, he launched it straight at the charging monsters like he'd done this 1,000 times. One hound dropped before it even realized it was in danger. 2 more spears flew, though he briefly pitied the poor mutts. The rest sprinted at him like they had a chance. Spoiler, they didn't. More spears, more KOS. In a blink, the arena looked like a no-hound zone. It was obvious Corin knew way too much about monster takedowns. 12 seconds flat. Not that anyone was counting. A lifetime ago, these same hounds had wrecked him. Now, not even close. This time he was locked in, spear ready, eyeing that top-ranked prize. But 5 minutes in, still no new monsters. Was the system napping or glitching? Outside, the examiner grumbled. Back in his day, he smashed these things in 82 seconds. Kids these days, watching 5th rankers flop, he figured 6th rankers weren't worth the screen time. Then he spotted Corin, chilling and yawning, and assumed the test must have bugged out. He resent the same hounds. Corin blinked. Wasn't this wave supposed to level up? The teacher left, and Corin casually wiped out the repeat squad. Finally, someone passed the trial after a marathon 7 minutes and 20 seconds. The examiner glanced back at the bottom ranks. Corin, still lounging like this was a spa day. Convinced the summoner was toast, he got corrected. Josephine's magic hadn't failed once in 2 decades. Asked if he'd actually seen the glitch, he admitted he hadn't, but doubled down and summoned the hounds again anyway. Corin sighed as the same low-level mutts popped up again. Talk about déjà vu. His spear split into 3, and he launched them like darts at a carnival. All 3 monsters dropped in under 8 seconds, speedrun certified. The observers blinked like their brains had blue-screened. They flagged down Professor Fermack because clearly this kid wasn't normal. Turns out the current record holder was Jaeger, clocking in at a sluggish 3.5 minutes. Watching the precision throws, the teacher figured Corin had to be a huntsman's kid, or just part machine. To test the theory, he summoned a mad boar. 1 level higher, 1 level meaner. That boar barely got to grunt before it face-planted in 3.7 seconds. So they cranked the difficulty dial and summoned an owlbear, because why not? The owlbear lunged, but Corin juked like he'd done this in a dream. He jabbed his spear in, but this one wasn't going down easy. The beast tanked the hit like it was swatting a fly and came charging again. Plan B, activate Kanaz, rune magic time. Flames burst out, turning the owlbear into a walking bonfire. The crowd outside gasped, rune magic from a 6th rank? Even Professor Fermack leaned in, eyebrows raised. Unfortunately, the owlbear didn't care. It kept swinging through the flames. Still, fire gave just enough cover for Corin to leap up high. One clean drop from above, spear to the skull, lights out. The teachers exchanged looks. This kid was over-leveled, but the test had already hit max difficulty. Finally, something exciting. Everyone was hyped to see how he'd handle the evil spirits next. The stage changed and the 5th rank spirit test kicked off. Corin could sense the presence. Something eerie had just spawned. But thanks to a pesky penalty from his 2nd rune, he was flying blind. With his senses blocked, spirits were basically invisible. So, he stood still, testing if the seal actually worked. A whole minute passed with 0 ghostly interference. Yep, the seal was working as advertised. With that box checked, there wasn't much left to do here. He casually raised a hand and tapped out of the test like it was no big deal. Officially disqualified, but not before raising a few eyebrows. On the bright side, the monster test score was cracked. New record holder confirmed. When Corin walked out, the teacher stared like he couldn't quite process the enigma. He learned one thought stuck in his head. Who even is this Corin Loke kid? Post-test chatter filled the air, rank comparisons flying like confetti. Students flexed their stats and kill counts like it was a game lobby. One name kept popping up, Jaeger Hinchpier, loud and proud. Corin recognized him instantly, same loudmouth who picked a fight early in his last timeline. That scuffle didn't end well. Sihu had erased him without hesitation. Sure, Jaeger was a typical edgy teen, but Sihu, full-on psycho back in the day. The 5th ranks caught flack, getting clowned for losing to hounds and spooky air. Corin spotted Lark too, the guy who spiraled from self-doubt and bad-mouthing, only to end up like Jaeger, player deleted. Then the Academy's head honcho took the stage. Aryu Kazar dropped a speech about how everyone came here chasing strength. Some were close, some weren't even halfway, but all of them were climbing. No promises, just hope they'd all find their own way, and he was here to help start the journey. After that, it was all about drive. Speech over, mic dropped, director out. The mingling began, awkward intros and instant squad formations. Jaeger loudly claimed his 3rd rank title, then made a beeline for Lark sulking in a corner. He grilled Lark on his rank. Lark mumbled, 5th. Cue the teasing. Jaeger laughed him off as useless for losing to tiny mutts. Corin casually stepped in, tossing out friendly vibes and instantly diffusing the awkward air. He complimented the neck tattoo, pretending it was just cool art, though he already knew it doubled as a smart emergency tag. Jaeger lit up, proud someone got it, and shared that his tattoo artist's mom had inked it with love. Corin played curious, asking about other tattoos, all while mentally checking off details he already remembered. In another timeline, Jaeger's disappearance had brought his worried mom straight to the Academy's doors. She'd explained the tattoos weren't edgy statements, just a mother's backup plan for her brave, reckless kid. Jaeger kept flexing his ink like it was a superhero badge. Corin casually dropped his name, and just like that, they were sensing like old friends. He pulled Lark into the chat, roping in the quiet kid without a hitch. Soon, they were laughing like a crew that had always known each other. From a distance, Alicia kept sneaking glances his way. She couldn't help thinking how effortlessly he diffused the bullying, like it was no big deal. To her, he was clearly one of the good ones. Meanwhile, Corin was mentally rubbing his hands together. Lark's trust meant another skill ready for download. With Lark basically a walking skill book now, Corin grinned like he'd just hit a loot jackpot. Alicia caught the grin and thought it was cute, not suspecting a hint of schemer behind it. Merkava Academy had the full VIP package, free dorms, cheap eats, and more perks than most cities. But the crown jewel, the training rooms, every student's favorite grind spot. Their secret? They turned impossible into practice mode. Naturally, Corin had already claimed a room, testing himself against spirits he couldn't even see. Some upperclassmen watched, whispering how most didn't even touch spirit training until semester 2 and still flopped. Marie stood silently nearby, eyes locked on Corin's every move. Right when he thought he'd cracked it, a spirit body smacked him, and doubt crept in. The instructor popped in, curious why he was jumping into advanced ghost mode so early. Corin shrugged it off, just sharpening his spear game, nothing special. The instructor raised an eyebrow, but Corin gave a quick nod like failure wasn't even on the menu. Still, Corin couldn't shake the feeling something was off. Maybe the entrance exam caused some backstage drama? Instead, the instructor flashed a grin, handed over 10 meal tickets like it was some secret level-up prize. He even claimed dibs on the first high five when Corin succeeded. Corin left buzzing like he'd won a food lottery. Turns out, a guy who bribes with food, probably not the villain of the story. Setting emotions aside, Corin hit resume on the grind. He nearly nailed it until reality decided otherwise. Spirit body, 2 Corin, still 0. Down he went, floor-meeting face, again. He lay there, rethinking his life choices in between gulps of air. Marie walked over, tossed him a towel like a coach between rounds. Her raised brow said, "Out of juice already?" With a flick, she conjured water like magic hydration, insisting he'd earned a breather. She figured he just needed time. Today's L was tomorrow's retry. But as he sipped, the weight of his second chance reminded him there was no next time left. Back then, Park Sihu had his back, plus cheat codes, potions, and stat hacks. But that backup was gone, permanently, and by his own hand. Now, solo mode only. He handed the glass back with a quiet nod, not planning to quit until it drained every last drop of effort. Strength wasn't optional, it was priority 1. Time to stretch his past life powers to the breaking point. Limits were meant to be tested. He kicked things off with a classic thrust, poisonous snake. Then came swing, tiger wind slicing air like a wild cat on Red Bull. Counterattack, revolving yank, plunge spun in like a surprise uppercut. Spin, whirling sky took off, making even gravity second-guess itself. And finally, throw, mountain destroyer. Overkill? Definitely. Satisfying? Absolutely. He hit a harsh truth. No strong body, no massive mana, no flashy aura. Even all that future knowledge felt useless against monsters and prodigies. The only option left, outwork everyone. Harder work, no shortcuts, that was the real power move. Trusting those 3 years of grind, he grabbed his spear and prepped his skill. The move? Ultimate poisonous snake technique. He tossed the spear skyward without aiming, sparking Marie's doubts. Marie thought maybe he'd thrown in the towel after all. But then he caught it mid-air, flipping the script. She realized it wasn't just a throw. He'd launched it like a projectile to snag it back perfectly. Landing behind the spirit body, he skewered it dead center. The spirit shattered completely. Marie was floored by the epic move right before her eyes. Words like strong or outstanding felt too basic for what she just witnessed. All she felt was pure, genuine respect. No frills, just awe. Seeing him midair, spear in hand, Marie thought he was simply awesome. His spear reminded him who's boss. He crashed back down hard. The spear snapped and his body trembled from the impact. That moment hit him. Maybe he was pushing his body way too hard. Next day at the academy, Marie guided students through the academy's facilities, pitching the perks. Meanwhile, Corin knew building his body was priority 1 if he wanted to fight right. Without Park Siu's elixirs, he needed a new plan to boost his strength. The answer? His runes of Trough, the secret weapon he hadn't fully used yet. Spotting Lark, he recalled a rune promising never to ignore good people's struggles. Sliding up friendly, he invited Lark out to eat, a small step toward building trust. He hinted they could discuss grimoires, which made Lark visibly tense. Grimoires were like magical skill books, instantly granting powers or traits just by reading. The library was massive, almost as big as the academy, holding humanity's knowledge for future generations. Officially, it was about knowledge, but secretly, it was all about hiding the grimoires. While searching, Lark reminded him to keep his promise for help, which he readily accepted. The deal, play his part, and the grimoire with the traits would be his. Lark was sharp and hardworking. Lark memorized tons of spells, but even the smartest struggled to use them all effectively. Low level and mana meant poor results, no matter how solid the theory was. Grimoires changed the game completely, though. Corin threw books everywhere, driving Lark up the wall and begging him to stop. Suddenly, one book revealed a hidden door, shocking them both. Clearly, Corin had a plan all along. They stepped inside and moved deeper into the secret space. Corin glanced back, stressing that Lark needed to keep his promise if they were partners. Lark shook on it, realizing Corin needed his help against evil spirits. Out of nowhere, Corin punched Lark right in the face. Lark dropped unconscious. Corin's plan was officially underway. Knocking him out was step 1. He also needed Lark's help and a tough quest completed. Capturing that evil spirit promised a rare, hidden artifact as a reward. He knew the quest was basically impossible. He could already sense the special evil spirit nearby. The Sabancia Duke was standing right behind him, waiting. A normal demon was tough. This special tier spirit? No chance. The Duke wasted no time and launched a fierce attack. Legend said the Duke's attack could kill players in one hit, commanding the South centuries ago. But Corin wasn't fazed by that at all. The spirit's attacks missed completely since he couldn't even see them, thanks to a strange block on his senses. The Duke kept swinging, but nothing landed. Every attack just phased through him like air. He stood there, clueless since he couldn't see the Duke or the spirits. Talk about a tough fight. He silently apologized for being blind to spiritual beings. Without seeing the Duke, he suggested the spirit possess Lark so they could actually battle. Some folks have marks, born traits that turn them into vampires, werewolves, or other creatures. One day, the Duke's mark kicked in, turning him into a vampire who accidentally killed his own servant. He couldn't control his vampire urges and feared hurting his family, so he sent his wife and daughter away to keep them safe. Then he magically sealed himself inside a book, the very grimoire hidden in this library. The Duke took over Lark's body without delay. Possessed, Lark lunged at Corin like an uncontrollable bloodthirsty vampire. Corin stayed calm. He had a plan involving Lark all along. The Duke's power was limited by the host's physical strength, and nerdy Lark had the lowest physical stats in the whole game. Corin felt bad but knew this was the quickest way to beat the Duke quest, by taking down possessed Lark. That meant snagging the Duke's cape armor and rare top-tier loot. These goodies had once been Park Sihu's favorites and came in clutch later. Unlike Sihu, Corin wasn't about the ruthless path. He chilled with the spirit, ready to share what happened to the Duke's wife and daughter. He recounted their lives after the Duke locked himself away. Once calm, Corin shared how the wife lived and died, and how the daughter grew into a world-traveling adventurer. Corin, with his own loving family, wanted the spirit to find peace. No ruthless shortcuts here. The Duke got emotional and apologized for attacking, but Corin just shrugged it off, noting Lartz's punches were more jelly than punch. After a lengthy exchange, Sabancia Duke was ready to move on to the afterlife. Corin collected epic soul dust and the grimoire containing the Duke's sealed soul. 2 grimoires held the Duke's soul, one for traits, one for spells, both teachable by reading. Using the grimoire unlocked determined warrior's regeneration, healing endlessly if the will to fight stayed strong. The ability healed injuries, though Park Sihu never knew its full power. He rarely got hurt. Lark woke up to learn he'd been possessed by an evil spirit while unconscious. He wondered if his sore jaw was normal after possession. Corin ignored the questions and handed over the promised second grimoire from the quest. This was the final reason Lark was picked for the mission. Corin wanted the hardest workers rewarded. Lark's joy was unmistakable. Besides quest completion, Corin earned points for helping those in need. The 80-point reward surprised him given the game's usual leveling system. Normally 5 points meant 1 level up. 80 points implied 16 levels gained. Without a level up notice, he guessed the quest gave 8 points, and this total compensated for indirect stat gains. Half the points came from helping Lark when no one else would. The other half rewarded his kindness toward Sebastian Duke. Later, at the training room, Marie handed out potatoes, sparking a potato frenzy among the students. Marie approached Corin, curious if he planned to catch spirit bodies again, which he confirmed. She showed full support, promising to cheer him on. Other students got jealous and doubted a first-year 5th rank could catch a spirit. Marie overheard their skepticism. She bet 2 gold coins on Corin's success. Others bet against. He stayed focused on practice. Confident with new stats from aiding the Duke, he was eager to test his true strength. Stokey pulled out his spear and started testing with the basic skill thrust, Poisonous Snake. The skill that took down the spirit was Snake's Deceit, a tricky move despite being the basic Poisonous Snake technique. He expected barely a scratch, yet the spirit shattered in one clean hit. Everyone gasped, stunned that a basic move ended the fight so fast. Even Corin couldn't believe how much power he'd gained. Marie approached, thrilled he nailed it in one hit after needing 3 before. Corin felt uneasy. Marie seemed to track his moves effortlessly, like she had super sight. She slid him his share of the winnings. The cash came from her bet on his success. Free money was an easy yes, so he took it with a grin. They laughed, betting him want more of these deals soon. Later that night, potato in hand, he reflected on grinding hard to hone his martial arts in his past life. Though stuck just shy of the 5th enlightenment step, his spear progress was faster than expected, easing his worries. What bugged him most was the lack of mana to fuel rune magic. This problem haunted his last life too. Rune magic demanded insane mana. Fixing this mana issue felt like the key to outleveling his past self. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out, making him freeze. No matter his training, one academy rival remained unbeatable. This top-tier legend was the only female even Park Sihu couldn't slay. Known as the indestructible soaring fiend Corin, she was a notorious game wrecker. Her reason for approaching baffled him. Scared and outmatched, he chose to ignore her entirely. She interrupted, questioning if he was a combined being. She insisted he didn't seem like the body's true owner. Her words froze Corin, making him question if she knew his secret. Did she realize he wasn't really from this world? Corin was a walking contradiction, part human, part monster soul, caught between life and death, rumored to see people's soul colors. Naturally, she saw through him and recognized who he really was. She challenged him about destroying the body's original soul. He shrugged it off, though secretly he'd fretted over this in a past life. He often questioned if he was truly himself or just a memory in this body's story. Eventually, he stopped caring. There was no way to prove who he really was, even in death. Corin, however, insisted he wasn't the true owner of the body no matter his claims. To her, he was a thief, no right to call the body his own. After a pause, he mentioned Bruce from his hometown, a guy who turned green and giant when angry, wondering if she knew him. She didn't get the reference. He explained Bruce's two clashing personalities hated each other and had very different skills. He returned to the point. Both original and new souls had their own traits. That's why they coexisted, born together with no shame or sin involved. She didn't buy it and suddenly shouted that, for some, birth itself was a sin. Corin stood quietly, sensing the deep pain of this 3-year-old trapped in her body. He felt helpless in that moment, so he quietly walked away. She stayed behind, sitting beneath a tree. Early next morning, he headed south across the academy grounds. Before the birds even sang, he left early. Weekend mission board called. Missions, big and small, promised level-ups, a must for any serious questing. But leveling wasn't his goal this time. He had something else to try. Nearby, Alicia stared hard at the board, making him curious. He realized he barely knew her. His past memories were fuzzy and different from the game. When he spoke, she bowed fast. He wondered why a top rank like her hunted missions so early. It turned out she needed cash, even though second-rank support funds should have covered her needs. The Academy refused her support since her family ranked in the top 10% income bracket. It was a classic case of too rich to get help, like some real-world scholarships that skip wealthy students. With permissive parents who refused to chip in, she had to cover her own basic living costs. Spotting her struggle, he recommended a patrol mission. Simple, low-cost, and easy to join with others. She invited him along, but he politely declined, focused on other plans. He grabbed a basic quest, find a lost family pet named Kitty. The tiny reward didn't bother him. His real aim was activating his runes. Kitty barely escaped a water monster, and returning her saved the owner from heartbreak. The owner, a little girl, breathed a huge sigh of relief. He earned 5 points for doing his part. Realizing even small quests charged his runes, he laughed maniacally, enough to spook the girl. He jumped into more mini-missions, protecting the innocent and racking up points. Suddenly, a more important mission popped into his mind, way bigger than point farming. Nearby, a small restaurant was in chaos. The owner was losing his mind. After mixing 10+ ingredients like garlic, carrot, and peppers, the sauce still missed the mark. No sauce could satisfy his dream of perfect chicken, especially once it cooled down. A random tip told him he was going about it all wrong. Out of the blue, Corin Loke showed up at the owner's door. Corin suggested a dash of corn syrup to fix the problem. He promised that would solve it, then vanished, leaving the owner puzzled. Unsure but curious, the owner tried it, and the taste blew him away. The sauce nailed exactly what he'd dreamed of. Corin cracked the mission knowing spicy chicken was a must for any Korean survival plan. Unexpected bonus. He earned 5 points just for lending a hand. His runes activated despite him only chasing his own selfish goals. He burst into wild laughter in the street, thrilled by the unexpected win. Meanwhile, Corin watched him from a distance, suspicious as ever. She was pretty sure he was a total weirdo. A teacher popped up behind Corin, reminding her to ask permission before roaming outside next time. Corin ignored the warning and just walked off. Ms. Josephine was left speechless, clearly puzzled. Corin remembered Corin's words about birth not being a crime. Then came back the harsh words telling her she shouldn't exist. She stood silent, lost in thought. Later, everyone assembled at the hunting ground. The teacher explained survival skills would be tested there. The task, reach a northern forest cabin to pass, for now. Each student wore a rank armband to return at the cabin. Faster arrivals with more armbands earned points redeemable for prizes. Corin looked for Corin, but unsurprisingly, she skipped the practical. Alicia greeted him, sharing she finished her mission thanks to his help. Corin offered her a honey bomb candy too sweet for his sister, which thrilled Alicia instantly. Miss Josephine announced the test was starting. She summoned a massive space magic circle to teleport the group. Corin admired her rare skill to cast space magic for so many at once. Teleported in, he immediately heard battles erupting nearby. Most students were already locked in combat when he arrived. The hunting ground was a brutal battle royale, with players fighting to steal armbands and score points. He couldn't care less about the chaos or the fighters around him. He focused on Alicia's blue armband, knowing it was the prize everyone wanted. With Corin out, taking Alicia meant easy points on everything else. He'd slipped a tracking rune into the candy he gave her. No one saw that coming. Laughing crazily, he dashed through the forest, shouting Alicia's name like a maniac. Outside, Miss Josephine told the director she'd enter the woods herself, not trusting just the professors to cover all bases. She asked the director about Horin's whereabouts. He said Horin went in alone, surprising since she usually avoided such risks. The director confirmed while rushing to keep up. Unbeknownst to Corin, Horin was already trailing him inside the forest. They guessed something had finally made her change her usual stance. Deeper in the woods, a group of boys cornered Alicia. She was furious, wondering how they could gang up on her like that. She called out their unfair tactics without holding back. One guy fired back, claiming her crazy talent was the real unfairness. Then someone lunged at her from behind. Corin saved her just in time with a flying rock as a shield. Alicia felt relieved, grateful for Corin's sudden rescue. She was puzzled when he praised her beauty mid-fight. What she didn't get was that Corin was after her armband, using flattery as a trick before striking. Shocked and betrayed, she realized her candy giver was a foe. Still, her powers weren't sharp enough yet to match his strength. Corin took advantage of that to claim an easy win. Though not as brilliant as her genius sister, Alicia ranked in the top 1%. Using her doubt, he launched a fierce, surprise assault. She stared wide-eyed, stunned by his power and relentless strikes. She stayed on defense, knowing he was baiting her and keeping up the pressure. She spotted openings between his attacks, waiting for the right moment to strike back. Every time she attacked, he blocked easily, pointing out her reliance on talent over training. He smoothly deflected her moves, pinned her sword to the ground, then readied a straightforward stab. She froze, caught off guard by this simple yet deadly move. His combo was basic but brutal, a perfect counterattack. The strike sent her flying back hard. Knocked back but mostly unharmed, she recovered quickly. She knew her aura saved her from serious injury. It wasn't raw power, his skill mastery was next level. She wondered who he really was. He definitely wasn't just any 5th-ranked knight. She gave up, and he claimed the blue armband. Suddenly, a scream broke the moment. He glanced back, alert. A sword flew at him out of nowhere, but he blocked just in time. The sword's weight gave away its magic ironstone make, deadly against bosses. The sword zipped back to its owner, revealing Doran Worski, another top-tier fighter eyeing the same prize. Corin wasn't eager to clash with Doran, who looked untouchable, no scratches despite countless fights, a whole different league. With no better choice, Corin took off fast, knowing a fight now would be pointless. Even Doran seemed puzzled by the sudden retreat. Suddenly, he realized for sure something. Corin had the blue armband clutched in his mouth. Without hesitation, he chased Corin, hurling swords like frisbees. Corin glanced back to spot Alicia sprinting, clearly screaming about not wanting to die. His only goal, get that armband back to the cabin, full speed ahead. When he arrived, Cornel Luden stood guard with his golem, blocking the cabin's entrance. Cornel made it clear, no armband, no pass. Things were heating up fast. Cornel blocked the front. Doran closed in from behind. Avoiding battle was out. 2 top fighters trapped him with zero escape. Spear in hand, he braced for a double showdown. No dodge, no retreat, fight, or nothing. With both charging, he went full throttle. Moments later, the first victor rapped on the cabin door. Corin stood there, 3 blue armbands in hand, ready to claim his prize. The supervisor's jaw dropped, impressed by Corin's triple hull. Alicia watched, jaw on the floor at his insane moves. He struck the magic sword's core early, burying it deep to keep it from returning to Doran. Minimal moves, max effect, he dodged and redirected swords into the golems. Using Doran as a human shield, he dodged golem strikes like a pro. As Doran distracted the golem, he smashed its core in one smooth move. He quickly took down Cornel right after. Her gut said he'd been through countless battles. Everything he did was sharp and well-planned in an instant. Using simple spear moves and pure experience, he covered his flaws effortlessly, like watching her sister in battle mode. It seemed some relied too much on talent and skipped the grind. Alicia cracked a small smile at that thought. She figured it might be time to step up her own game. Doran was stunned, defeated before he could even flex, like his moves were an open book to the opponent. Cornel lay defeated on the ground, Corin standing victorious. Corin pointed out golems were big targets for small but fierce fighters, and suggested Cornel Shelf had a buddy guarding the cabin. Sadly, Cornel had no friends to call on. That loss hit him deeper than just the body. That day, the 3 named first years each remembered Corin in their own way. Meanwhile, Corin just goofed off back at the cabin. The strongest at the hunting grounds now was the druid blessed by the forest. Yuel was her name, and she could command the trees like a boss. But it wasn't only first years wandering those woods. The forest's top dog was actually Merkava Academy's greatest mage, Marie Dunarev herself. Marie unleashed a water sphere with a boom, hitting Yuel hard. Seniors played monster roles for training, and Yuel got unlucky, one shot by Marie's water spell. Corin figured the training ended there, with Marie and Yuel sizing each other up. But then Marie spotted someone behind her. She wondered who that newcomer was, trying to figure out her name. Staying in character, Marie asked if the stranger was searching for someone. She seemed surrounded by a whole squad of her doppelgangers. Corin didn't bother and just dashed straight past. Out of nowhere, Marie slammed up an ice wall, blocking the way with fake apologies. Marie reminded her that rules called her a monster now, so ignoring wasn't an option. Marie wasn't letting her off easy, and Corin just shrugged with a quick fine. The teacher told Corin his 117 points were rare and hadn't been hit in ages. His prize options included a wild boar tooth knife, a tough leather coat, and shark bear bile. The shark bear bile was the top prize, but Corin had his eyes on something else. Mandrake's seat was his goal, and even the teacher admired his choice. The teacher asked about the leftover 17 points. Corin grabbed some random extras, nutritional plants, supplements, and earmuffs. Walking out, he reflected how this was his best run after endless retries. Plus, Lark and Jaeger finished the test too, something new to witness. Watching them team up, Jaeger proposed some late-night stamina training after dinner. Corin redirected them to help Crenel find his golem core, surprising the knight. Knowing the core mattered, Corin insisted, while Crenel hesitated, unsure if help was needed. Corin felt connected. Past teamwork made him trust Crenel's golem tank for the big fight. The battle wound down with Crenel repairing his golem's core. Alicia Arden was reportedly injured. Doran Warski was completely drained. Druid UL looked nearly knocked out cold. Corin helped UL up, thinking Marie might be pushing these kids way too hard. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Forest creatures scattered, fleeing some unseen threat. A faint voice urged escape because of Marie, sparking curiosity about what she was really up to. Marie had an uncanny talent for magic and endless mana. She'd never known defeat and was set to follow Josephine's legacy. The hunting ground felt like a playground where Marie balanced fun with teaching the rookies. But things looked different when Marie struggled against Horan, showing even prodigies hit bumps. Horan launched herself mid-air ready to strike. Marie threw ice crystals her way, but Horan smashed them and kept the pressure on. Cornered, Marie knew basic magic wouldn't cut it. She needed stronger spells. Despite promising the seniors to hold back, Marie had already unleashed advanced magic on Horan. In other words, she was going all out whether she liked it or not. Marie fought full throttle but kept getting wrecked by Horan. One hit sent her crashing into a tree. Horan totally dominated the fight. Marie realized this wasn't just any opponent. It was Calamity wearing human skin. Her hands shook as she prepared another spell. Fear flashed across her face as she warned Horan to back off. Suddenly, a teleport brought someone in, telling Horan to halt. Professor Josephine appeared, checking if Marie was okay. Relief washed over Marie, but before she could speak, she fainted. Josephine stared silently, stunned by what had happened. The training wrapped up with some surprising outcomes. Corin Loke, a 5th-ranked student, snagged first place with the highest score. Meanwhile, second-year ace Marie got hurt after clashing with first-year Horan. Corin worried Marie might have gone full boss mode but relaxed, seeing she was fine, thinking the story was still on track. 3 weeks remained before her awakening, and he had plenty to get ready. He made his way to the forest edge to meet a mysterious resident. Dousing his eyes with drops, he readied himself. Pretending to fumble, he tossed the seed into the lake. Then he broke into loud, exaggerated sobs and shouting. Out of nowhere, a voice asked why the noise. Perfect, his target appeared. This was the game's secret forest god and golden axe event. Like the old myth, Greek, not Korean, the forest god only reacted to weapons below unique rank. Tossing random stuff usually did nothing. A hardcore player's post made random item tossing a trend, leading brave players to unlock a secret event developers never planned for. Most attempts failed, but his rare seed qualified, and the hermit asked which seed was his, gold or silver. He denied both. The hermit then showed him the original seed, asking if it belonged to him. Playing the part with tears streaming, he said the plain seed was his. Because he stayed honest and didn't want the shiny ones, the hermit rewarded him with all 3 seeds. The hermit vanished underwater, while Corin bowed low, grateful. Once alone, Corin stopped crying and laughed. His item duplication worked. The plain seed boosted mana, but the golden and silver ones had rare, special perks only gained this way. Past lives split the seed between friends. This time, Corin owned them all. Night came with a reminder. Marie's boss awakening was due in 3 weeks. Her showdown with the vampire John Doe. The demon agent inside her remained a mystery, but time was on their side. That's why he showed off his strength to top-ranked players. No one wanted a weak 5th-ranked teammate, so talent was key to getting their attention. With a week until full recovery, he planned to suggest forming a party. Their goal, beat the first chapter's final boss. Yadunaref's Big Day as a special rank vampire was just 3 weeks away. The scene shifted to Marie waking from her injuries. A caretaker checked on her, complaining the first year had seriously overstepped. Only basic magic was allowed. Marie stayed quiet, while Corin believed that with prep, faith, and good teammates, they had a shot. He was confident saving her from disaster wouldn't be too tough. The next few weeks were all about training Alicia hard. Hiring Doran, the fierce Aga mercenary, was on the list. Convincing the Avalorn Forest Druid to join his squad was next. Making friends with Crenel, the Golem Master, was part of the plan too. With all that lined up, he felt sure things would go smoothly. The mission looked like it'd be a total breeze, unless some wild surprise popped up, that is. But surprise hit when Marie woke at night, already a vampire, chasing her caretaker. Days later, Josephine was not happy with Warren's wild behavior in the forest. She offered private lessons if Warren wanted to actually learn something. For now, Warren was stuck in her room, bored enough to think about jumping the wall. Suddenly, Corin dangled outside her window, giving her a good scare. Hanging in a tree, he reminded her who he was and asked to get in. Not showing up empty-handed, he brought cake as a peace offering. She pointed out the rules, but he shrugged, claiming tree status and no fear since Josephine was away. He was surprised she looked unscathed. Apparently, she was locked down for over 4 days due to her hunting ground antics. He got Josephine's worries. Corin was a special rank demon after all. Corin dropped the bomb that Josephine hadn't been around for over 4 days. Shock hit so hard he toppled straight out of the tree. He crash-landed hard on the ground. His Regent skill kicked in, but ouch, the fall still stung. Corin peeked out and he quickly waved goodbye, promising lunch sometime. He dashed off, knowing Josephine leaving the Academy's most dangerous alone that long was seriously weird. En route, he spotted Professors Dana and Fermac rushing around, clearly hunting for someone too. When he tried visiting Marie, the guards shut him down. No visitors allowed. Corin showed up with snacks, claiming Josephine sent him to visit Marie. The guard praised Josephine's kindness, but Corin noticed his visit was denied and Isabelle, Marie's nurse, had vanished. A guard blocking the infirmary felt off, and Corin's suspicion only grew. Corin's rune on the sandwich triggered the guard's sudden stomach ache after one bite. The guard dashed to the restroom, asking Corin to watch the door in the meantime. Entering the sick bay, Corin sighed, shocked the nightmare came earlier than expected. With hope fading, he pulled back the blanket's edge. The figure under the sheet wasn't Marie after all, but Isabelle, mysteriously back despite being reported missing. Fang marks on Isabelle's neck confirmed the secret the professors tried to hide. Marie had turned vampire. The dreaded final boss arrived early. The battle was rushed, 3 weeks early, with 4 intense phases to come. Phase 1 meant fighting off waves of lesser monsters without much trouble. Phase 2 tested endurance through her magic while landing critical hits. Phase 3 challenged the team against her raging familiar in a bloody domain. Defeating the familiar unlocked Phase 4, the all-important final showdown. Without the main player, rallying top first years was his only hope. He could reach Phase 3 with no major issues if all went well. But trouble brewed. Alicia Arden got injured thanks to him. Doran Worski's weapon also got busted, yep, by him again, and Cornel Luden's golem core, smashed by none other than Corin himself. Basically, he took out all the top recruits and totally screwed his own plans. Normally, Marie only freaked out after meeting the mysterious John Doe, attacking just her roommate. Damage control was quick. They stood guard outside Marie and Isabelle's dorm. Though Sihu's secret move let Marie slip away. Right now, he'd made a huge mess. Alicia's bones were broken from his blunder. With Cornel's golem core smashed, Cornel was basically sidelined. Thinking of Horan for backup, he quickly dismissed the idea. She was too unpredictable and might just cause chaos. He found Doran training stamina and explained the mission. Capture a target alive, no casualties allowed. Doran warned it was a risky job. Mercenaries avoided unwinnable fights. Also, his sword was busted, courtesy of Corin. Corin cut in, offering 20 gold coins up front and his rare soul dust as collateral to sweeten the deal. Without hesitation, Doran was in, no questions asked. A pop-up confirmed Doran joined, and Corin couldn't help but smile and give a thumbs up. Next stop, the library to catch up with Druid Yule. Knowing she sought the lost Ogham alphabet with no existing records, he proposed teaching her the alphabet in exchange for her help on the mission. She agreed and immediately wanted to know her role. Just like that, Yule joined the team. He found Jaeger and Lark and pitched a risky, low-pay mission facing a special-rank demon. Potential death, but major glory if they pulled it off. At first, they just chilled, and Corin thought he'd lost them. After a beat, the duo grinned, clearly hyped and ready to roll. Corin cheered inwardly. These guys were all about that glory life. With a dealer, a supporter, and just enough crew to survive Phase 1, he'd met the bare minimum. For now, that had to do. He remembered Sihu saying Marie hid crying in the forest for a month after her defeat, making her tough to track. Luckily, the Academy had only one forest to search. Gathering the team, he set off for the hunting grounds. Walking the forest, Doran called him employer and asked how they'd find Marie. The answer, asking nature, was faster than years of searching. Yuel stared, baffled by how much he seemed to know. She slammed her staff down and began a ritual. Calling on nature spirits, she asked for guidance to their target. Lark and Jaeger watched wide-eyed as spirits gathered around in response. Dozens of nature spirits reacted to Yuel's call, but Corin couldn't see them and wondered if they'd found Marie yet. Everyone stared intently, revealing Marie was right behind Corin all along. A monster lunged from behind, but Corin blocked it swiftly with his spear. He sliced the beast clean in two without missing a beat. Doran's eyes widened as he warned about the demonic swarm incoming. Suddenly, a wild horde of monsters charged straight at the group. The duo guessed Marie had turned into a demon, but Corin dismissed that as nonsense. Lark quickly took his battle stance. Jaeger charged forward with confidence. Corin warned Jaeger to hold back or risk getting swarmed. Jaeger stepped back 3 paces to fin the swarm, while Lark guarded their rear. Yuel was told to hang back with Lark for support. Doran needed no orders. He was already in the zone. Doran admired Corin's calm, clear commands and sharp leadership amid the chaos. It felt like Corin was a pro commander. How was he only a 5th-ranked knight? The Academy's ranking must be off. Jaeger wondered why so many monsters appeared. Yuel admitted the spirits hadn't explained why. Lark suspected Marie might be controlling the unusually aggressive, massive pack. Corin shut that down. Marie wasn't a puppet master and wouldn't recklessly control monsters like this. He had only one explanation for the monster charge. Monsters usually follow patterns, but sometimes panic overrides their instincts. Something so scary they drop everything and just flee. In this case, that something was Marie herself. Corin ordered everyone to prepare for battle, with Yuel and Lark covering the rear. Doran and Jaeger stayed just behind Corin, supporting without rushing in. Doran trusted Corin, Jaeger wasn't so sure. Corin took the front line, ready to hold the chaos back. After issuing orders, his 3rd Ruins of Troth, I will save the world, kicked in. Instantly, all his stats boosted by 50%. Marie's fate clearly mattered big time, hence the ruins activating now. The system nudged him to start by stopping Marie, so the team geared up to move out. With the crew set, the final boss raid kicked off. The 3rd rune clashed with the 1st. He couldn't ignore others' pain, even now. Despite her vampire form, Marie still had a good heart inside. The system shifted the mission, from stopping Marie to saving her from tragedy. Everyone noticed her inner struggle, tears hidden behind the vampire mask. Yuel saw her pain, but Doran insisted the mission stayed the same. Defeat the demon. Without hesitation, Doran swung his sword down at her, but surprise hit him fast. She blocked it with a glowing sphere. His heavy sword stopped cold. Lark identified the orb, vampire blood magic, not supposed to form so soon in a newbie like her. Corin explained she was too new and weak, yet no blood or magic supply, so blocking was all she could manage. Doran noted mages usually lack defense. With that orb, this was a serious game-changer. Corin agreed. Marie countered with a massive area attack. Yuel jumped into action. The forest became her battlefield. She summoned a giant wooden wall, backed by spirit magic. The wall was holding, but barely. She kept pushing mana to keep it standing. Jaeger grew worried. Lark told him to quit tempting fate. The wall drained half Yuel's mana, and with no rest after tests, her magic was running thin. Marie's attack wasn't messing around, making Yuel struggle to keep the wall up. Yuel pushed on, fueled by Corin's wild promise to flip the fight in 5 moves, even as exhaustion crept in. Yuel checked if Corin really had this. He nodded, confident this Marie was no match for his plan. The showdown with Marie Dunaref was broken into 4 intense phases. Phase 1, waves of demonic beasts swarmed the team. Phase 2, Marie herself jumped into the fray once the beasts were down. The boss's familiar only appeared between phases 2 and 4. Marie held back her full power until the final stage, just like in the game, and in Corin's past life. Spotting the wall weaken, Corin told Lark to retreat before Yuel, calculating Lark's magic limit with surprising precision. Once Yuel regrouped, they kept their distance from the chaos ahead. So far, attacks hit hard in numbers but went individually devastating. The real threat arrived as frozen blood crystals began smashing through the wall, an alchemy spell unleashed. Corin warned everyone to brace themselves. The Frostify spell kicked in. The wall finally crumbled. Shock froze the group. Yuel summoned every last ounce of magic to cast a spell. Corin had prepped the ground with magic glyphs to boost her power. The glyphs responded exactly as he'd hoped. Only Yuel, a pure druid, could activate the glyphs despite Corin's preparation. These ancient glyphs, unlike runes, unlocked Yuel's secret, ultimate skill earned at her story's climax. This skill, the voice of nature, was a 1,000-year gift from spirits to her ancestors. The Wickerman, a massive wicker puppet, came to life. Yuel barely believed she'd summoned the giant puppet. Corin admitted to a tiny cheat but saw no other option. Corin told Jaeger to toss the still-alive owlbear into the Wickerman, proving his earlier hunch right. It was all part of Corin's plan, just hidden in plain sight until now. Jaeger launched the owlbear straight at the giant puppet. The moment it landed, an explosion burst into flames. The Wickerman, a magical golem, kept moving until its fiery fuel burned out. Marie unleashed blood magic at the golem, but the puppet blocked and struck back with raw strength. As predicted, Yuel started struggling. Holding control this long drained her fast. Corin urged her to keep going. Quitting now meant doom. Despite pain, she stayed strong. Thanks to her, the Wickerman kept fighting. Marie launched another assault, this time freezing blood crystals flying at the golem. The Wickerman wasn't alive. Stabbing it wouldn't bring it down. Corin figured fire would beat ice, as logic usually says. Then suddenly, one icy strike pierced the puppet's core. The fire went out, leaving the core stunned and silent. The massive puppet collapsed right before Corin's eyes. Corin admitted his common sense was totally busted. This was the real deal, Marie Dunarif's special rank power. With UL drained, Corin quickly ordered her to retreat. She hesitated but knew deep down staying wouldn't help. She withdrew, and Jaeger questioned if they could handle Marie solo. Corin grabbed his spear, noting Marie's wide attacks were all spent. Time for the real fight. Ready for a showdown, Corin charged straight at Marie. Jaeger and Doran sprinted after, yelling for Corin to hold up. Marie didn't pause, throwing spells non-stop. The trio advanced, weaving through Marie's relentless assault. Doran swung one of his swords, but the glowing orb still blocked the attack. Frustrated, Doran admitted that shield was seriously stubborn. Jaeger leapt up high, smashing the orb into pieces from above. His special move, Cumulative Destruction, used enemy power against them, exactly what Corin needed right then. Jaeger got a bit cocky and dropped his guard, making Corin regret praising him so quickly. Suddenly, Phase 3 kicked in, and Marie unleashed her domain of blood, creating a massive sphere that swallowed the whole area. After the chaos faded, Jaeger and Doran lay defeated, leaving Corin as the sole survivor. The domain was a trap triggered by the orb's destruction, trapping them with no way out. Corin hadn't planned on facing Marie solo, but here he was, alone. Usually, teams stick together with at least 3 through Phase 3. For him it seemed like the outcome wouldn't change regardless. That night Marie turned vampire. Humans instinctively separate beasts from their own kind. They usually ignore a dying creature's desperate fight, but something felt off in the air, as if her whole body was frozen, while her throat burned like fire. Her eyes flashed crimson red. The throat next to her suddenly looked way too tempting. Her fangs sank in easily, feeling like they'd always been part of her. She pierced the skin, blood flowing as the animal trembled under her bite. Whether scared or fighting back didn't matter, she didn't even blink. The creature's painful cries sounded oddly like piano notes as its hot blood warmed her throat. The warm blood spread inside her, waking up her cold skin and making her blood vessels pulse alive. Isabel's moans and creaking bed faded from her senses. Only her pounding heartbeat filled her ears, while the sweet blood scent grew thick and overwhelming. Suddenly she understood the creature wasn't just an animal. In that moment, guilt hit. She almost bit her own friend. She had treated a human like prey, almost mindlessly devouring them. Hunger twisted inside her as she clutched her empty stomach, then fled as fast and far as she could. Only when he came searching did she stop running. A giant bloodhound growled fiercely in his path. It lunged for an attack, but he sliced it clean in two. The beast split into 2 smaller copies, which he dodged easily, then stabbed both from behind with his spear. With those down, he taunted the original bloodhound. Suddenly, the hound sped up insanely fast. For a moment, Corin thought it vanished, but it was just lightning fast. Realizing this, he smirked, ready to school the speedy dog. He knew speed wasn't the whole story in battle. Winning meant striking at just the right moment. Dodging the strike, he grinned wildly, taunting the predictable attack. Then he unleashed his skill, Ascending Snake, stabbing the bloodhound with deadly precision. His strike shattered the domain of Blood Sphere completely, breaking the trap apart. When the dust settled, the bloodhound lay defeated. Despite near death, the beast fought to guard its creator to the very last breath. Corin realized he was here to save Marie, who had just entered the final battle phase. Normally, when this phase begins, one party member gets critically injured, which explains why solo clears are impossible. Usually, teammates would distract Marie while protecting the target, but now she was charging straight at Corin alone. Unfortunately, he was solo with no backup. Marie used her drain skill, sucking life and magic from Corin to heal herself. He felt the life drain but kept steady, wondering what it was like to have his soul sucked away. No matter the pain, he was confident he could endure it. Thanks to his regeneration skill, this was just a minor inconvenience. Gritting his teeth, he recalled her gentle moments handing out potatoes with those tiny hands. That sweet Marie always treated others with kindness, and he gently reminded her he was grown up now while patting her head. He warned her to slow down before she choked on his blood. His kindness snapped her back to reality, bringing tears streaming down her cheeks. Corin remembered Sabancia Duke's dark past, turning vampire and draining his loyal servant. Even great commanders couldn't fight bloodlust. It took a month for Sihu to capture Marie alive. Draining demons was like salty seawater, never quenching her thirst. Yet Marie never killed anyone, controlling her hunger with fierce determination. If tragedy was the only path, her strength and kindness would have mattered. Her tear on him sparked hope for a better ending beyond despair. Marie kept apologizing, but he didn't mind her past mistakes, her power, or even her vampire nature. Old Corin might have treated her like a game NPC, but a mentor changed his view. He aimed to be better. That NPC had risked everything, calling him a child she must protect as an adult. Now her successor and student, he figured it was okay to act like an adult himself. Reflecting quietly, he decided to prove to Park Sihu he'd take a different, better path. A notification popped up. Marie's mission cleared with an S rank, earning 100 points to boost all stats. Later, Marie sat in a space prison crafted by Professor Josephine, master of space magic. Marie munched potatoes calmly in her cell as Corin dropped by for a visit. Corin's teasing grin caught her off guard, causing her to choke on a potato bite. He asked Josephine for permission. She hesitated, but he promised trust, easing her worries. Seeing her enjoy potatoes, he joked about her unchanged taste buds and how the guard forgot water with the potatoes. She claimed potatoes always tasted great, no matter how they were cooked. Then Corin leaned in a little too close. Making her blush and tell him to back off, she still smelled a bit. After a brief pause to calm down, she admitted how truly scared she'd been. Facing Warren, death felt near, but fear kept her from doing what he had done for her. Corin guessed meeting Warren sparked a change, pushing her to join the hunting ground training. There, a chance encounter with Marie triggered her full power, awakening Marie's hidden vampire mark. She wondered why he never gave up, just like when others mocked him training with spirits, but he still succeeded. He downplayed it, saying it wasn't a big deal. Really, he just loved happy endings. Good guys winning and bad guys losing. That's the kind of ending he always wanted. Marie's kind heart showed in how she treated everyone with genuine warmth. Corin thought she was not just kind, but also pretty, believing happy endings were what everyone deserved. His hope for her happiness left Marie blushing, caught off guard but secretly pleased. She politely asked for some space to collect herself. Corin respected her wish and quietly stepped away. Alone, Marie felt grateful for his comforting presence. Doubts lingered about whether happiness was still hers to claim. Temporary isolation seemed fair after everything, giving space to adjust. Corin figured her break wouldn't last long. Corin managed school just fine. He trusted people wouldn't fear her, no matter what she became. On his way back, the director approached Corin unexpectedly. The director politely asked for a quick chat. Their first meeting started with the director checking on Corin's well-being. Then came the talk about Marie's fate and possible punishment. Corin's worry grew. Had he overlooked how bad things might get? He pleaded for understanding, explaining his side carefully. After all, he was the one who faced Marie in battle. The director laughed off Corin's panic, lightening the mood. It turned out Marie faced no punishment at all. The director no longer saw her as a threat and appreciated Corin's defense, firm in his decision. He promised her isolation would end soon, once her condition stabilized. Curious for details beyond rumors, the director asked Corin to fill him in, who gladly shared what he could. Corin emphasized Marie's innocence, hoping the chairman saw her as a child, not a monster. The director thanked Corin for his honesty and insight. An official statement was coming soon, though some things would stay behind closed doors. The director thanked Corin with a deep bow, catching him off guard. Grateful for Corin's role in averting adult mistakes, the director vowed to repay him. Corin recognized the director as someone who owned his flaws and stepped up. Memories of past words made Corin trust the director's genuine intentions. He silently urged the director to look forward, not down. The director's smile lit up with quiet joy. In her cell, Marie replayed the moment Corin had saved her. His gentle touch on her back pulled her drifting mind back. Clarity returned, softening her inner turmoil. All she could offer was a quiet apology. Worry for Isabel fueled her guilt, making forgiveness feel out of reach. Resigned, she accepted Josephine's magic, locking herself away without a fight. Corin's visit found her tired, hiding it well. She viewed herself as a beastly enemy, haunted by dark urges. His simple wish for her happiness swept her doubts away. Those words felt more real than anything else, bringing tears to her eyes. She remembered him shielding her without hesitation. That moment with him became a memory she'd never forget. A week passed, but Marie remained the talk of the town. Officially, the Marie incident wrapped up 1 week ago. Some opposed Marie's staying, but seeing Horan attend peacefully cooled their protests. Their complaints fizzled out. Marie's isolation ended officially. Though warmly welcomed back, Marie's mind wasn't at ease. Her eyes searched, unsettled by Isabel's absence. Isolation lifted, but Marie wasn't ready to skip class or relax just yet. Marie worried Isabel might hate her after everything, imagining how she'd feel in her place. It made sense. Who would want a friend who bit and sucked their blood? Not wanting to bother anyone, she eyed the bag of blood nearby. Marie planned to vanish from the academy without a trace. Suddenly, a knock broke the silence. Opening the door, she froze for a moment. Isabel was there, wrapping her in a surprise hug. Marie's eyes searched Isabel, silently asking if she was all right. Confusion mixed with relief. Why was Isabel here? Marie wondered if Isabel feared her after the biting incident. Isabel just smiled, knowing everything that happened before passing out. She remembered Marie's shock and tears after realizing the bite. Isabel made it clear, nothing could change their friendship. She hoped Marie felt the same, no matter what. Marie cried, thankful for Isabel's acceptance. Isabel finally understood her silence. Isabel explained she'd recovered earlier, but hospital rules kept her away until a helpful first year snuck her out. Marie instantly recognized the student Isabel meant. He was just behind her a moment ago. As Corin quietly left, Marie and Isabel's renewed bond proved unbreakable by anything so small. Marie blushed, realizing Corin had saved her once more. Her thoughts couldn't escape him. And just like that, Chapter 1 closed with a rare happy ending. No game, no past life ever had this. Despite all the chaos and detours, Corin liked this new story way more. He realized life rolls on, main players or not, and better endings don't need a script. In that moment, Corin knew for sure a fresh start had arrived. Days grew quiet for Corin, class, lunch, training, dinner, training on repeat. He pushed to get stronger fast, knowing a showdown with a certain girl was just around the corner. Spear in hand, training became his daily grind. Maria dropped by, curious and cheerful. Seeing her back to normal lifted his spirits instantly. After tough training, she brought him a modest meal, mostly potatoes, which somehow looked like a feast to Corin. They sat side by side as he dug in. She caught a drop of his blood and couldn't help but stare, drooling a bit. Caught staring, she blushed and quickly denied it, mentally scolding herself. He teased about her blood habit, wondering if fresh beets packaged. She admitted fresh blood had that extra kick, especially her favorite flavor. Like frozen versus fresh meat, she sighed, stuck with the frozen stuff forever now. Without missing a beat, he offered his blood as a treat. She turned bright red, questioning if he was serious. He shrugged off the idea, saying he could heal, teasing if she wanted some now. She politely declined, not wanting to be a bother. Changing the subject, she gave him a vampire blood elixir, a top-tier magic boost. Without hesitation, he gulped it down. Almost instantly, his power stats surged. Energy bubbled inside, stronger than ever before. Ready and confident, he figured it was time to face that girl. Meanwhile, down the street, someone else was on the move. Alicia Arden, a second-ranked knight with a famous sword-fighting legacy, was rethinking her path. Meeting a higher-ranked knight shook her confidence, sparking a serious effort to improve. But old habits won out, and she slipped right back into her laid-back groove. Candy in hand, she wandered around totally chill. Lazy at heart, no passion for sword skills, despite having near-genius talent. She was a lazy student who failed a lot but loved that shopping meant no endless sword practice or duels, just chill time. She just wanted to relax, until Corin showed up and called her out. Corin asked why she skipped training. She nervously blamed a busy schedule full of missions and assignments. He hinted joining his party was the quickest way to earn big bucks. She got annoyed, wondering why he kept bothering her since she really wanted space. Being around him always exposed her lazy side and overconfidence. She thought his training was too basic and boring. She wanted flashy moves, not drills. When he offered 2 gold coins for joining second-rank missions, she instantly calculated new clothes and candy she could buy. Just like that, she said yes. Then he mentioned a 20 silver mission, and she jumped on board. Money talks. Corin guessed these missions would trigger the big event soon, though he wasn't totally sure. He might be wrong, but felt the day was close. Alicia loved patrols, just walking city routes checking for trouble, no stress. The monsters were mostly low-ranked, with rare mid-level ones showing up. Nearing mission end, she told the captain to sell monster loot. Easy money for low effort, perfect for her. Her teammates hyped her up big time on these easy missions, praising her sword skills and monster kills like she was a pro. But family always compared her unfavorably to her supremely skilled sister. On missions, she could forget the comparisons and feel pretty okay about herself. Corin joined after handling Albert, but she said she'd already taken care of it, surprising him. Night fell, patrol ended peacefully, or so it seemed, until a sudden green flare lit the sky, a signal for a second-rank monster nest nearby. Alicia couldn't see it herself, only visible through special goggles everyone else had. Patrols usually ended quiet, but now everyone had to join the raid. Lazy Alicia was not thrilled. Her team pumped her up, while Corin smirked, glad his prediction was spot on. The second-rank wolf nest, led by the same tough Beowulf Alicia had beaten while poisoned, was discovered without much fuss. This time, the team handled them with even less effort. Just as the wolves were down, a new monster showed up, blocking Alicia's path. The infamous first-rank Dullahan had arrived uninvited. She should have panicked seeing it, questioning how it got there. Instead, she grabbed her sword without hesitation. She launched an area slash, a fancy ardent sword skill. Surprise wasn't on her side. The Dullahan bent and dodged with eerie ease. Tentacles shot out, trapping her tight. Trapped and cornered, she knew she was stuck. She called for Corin, not one to hold knightly pride in moments like this. Hearing Corin was busy elsewhere, her cries only got louder. With the monster about to strike, she closed her eyes, ready to accept defeat. Suddenly, the Dullahan's head flew off. Both monster and victim collapsed together. Looking up, Alicia spotted a familiar sword. The savior was clear. It was Lunia Arden, heir and top swordswoman of the generation. The rightful successor to the sword genius legacy, Alicia's elder sister no less. Lunia looked down, questioning Alicia's careless state. She wondered why Alicia hadn't analyzed or retreated at first sign of danger. Most irritating was Alicia's sloppy sword draw, a poor imitation. Apologies came quick, but Lunia made it clear. Sorry won't fix careless mistakes. Alicia realized her careless moves put her trusting squad in real danger. Lunia tapped Alicia's shoulder firmly with her sword. She reminded Alicia that ardent swordsmen never lose confidence, which Alicia accepted without much fuss. Lunia called for Corin, who secretly wondered if she'd spotted his watchful eye. He had been keeping tabs on Alicia all along, pretending to be busy. Lunia introduced herself with all her grand titles: Divine Sword, Great Disciple, First Pavilion Master. Corin bowed, calling himself the 8 Hanging Spears Disciple and Alicia's loyal friend. Lunia stayed skeptical, probing Corin for more, knowing what secrets she sought. But Corin kept his spearmanship skills tightly under wraps. The rare technique was shared by just 2 others besides him. When he clammed up, Lunia turned away, losing interest. Her team, the second-ranked 5 swords, Millie, Alina, Mace, Siren, and Jenny, had cleared the area. They matched or outranked Alicia. Asked about chasing fleeing monsters, Lunia said no chase needed and got ready to leave. Lunia made it clear Alicia was tagging along. Swordsmen here traveled in tight crews, some resembling gangster-style sword factions. Following their leader, they formed a sect. 60 years back, sword genius Garin sparked a new era. The Arden family had pushed martial arts schools, making them a continent-wide sword legacy. Back at Merkava's Arden studio, their trademark discipline and swagger still hung in the air. The mix of strict discipline and gangster vibes lived on. Alicia bowed low, showing respect to the first pavilion master, Lunia. The others in the room were baffled why a direct family disciple like Alicia was kneeling. Lunia reviewed Alicia's unimpressive missions: patrols, merchant guards, low-rank raids, and a weird cafe helper job. Alicia admitted the cafe gig meant wearing a uniform and handing out flyers. Asked why, Alicia sheepishly said she just liked the cute uniform. Lunia stared at her, half amused, half exasperated. Lunia didn't hold back, calling Alicia pretty pathetic. She criticized Alicia for using a favor certificate for such trivial tasks, wondering if she aimed to embarrass the Arden family. Lunia said Alicia's easy missions were just 1A hero stuff, not real fights. Those words hit Alicia like a ton of bricks. She flashed back to an old man's warning about never escaping her true self. She sat quietly, head bowed, lost in thought. Then she grabbed her gear and quietly left. Lunia's 5 disciples chatted about Alicia's health, but Lunia cut through, curious about the boy with her. They knew little except that he was a 5th-ranked knight. Doubt crept in. Maybe Merkava's rank test had gotten too easy. His focus was laser-sharp on Alicia, monsters barely registered. That skill came from real battle, not practice drills. His spear moves looked simple but held the depth only real combat could teach. Lunia, a master herself, saw exactly where his spear skills aimed. The brief meeting left Lunia impressed, even hoping he'd stick with her sister. She remembered an academy request involving him. She figured a reunion was likely soon. Corin trained hard while Marie kept him well fed. Mid-bite, Corin asked about the mutton. Marie explained it was fresh, thanks to her new slaughter skills. Corin got emotional, realizing Marie sacrificed her sad frozen meals to feed him well. Marie hinted she'd bring braised oxtails next time. Corin grabbed her hand, clearly loving the idea. Flustered, Marie promised to bring it while complimenting his rugged, scarred hands. Isabel's call made Marie blush and fidget. She bounced away, mumbling as she went. Corin shook his head, realizing kids these days were a mystery. Back in his old life, Corin never scored a date for 3 years, blamed on Park Sihu's non-stop interference. His friendships now felt completely new compared to before. She'd often bring him rare mushrooms, and they'd head to the library where he taught her the Ogam alphabet. Doran showed up often, more as a partner for tough missions than a friend, always dragging him along for the payday. Jaeger and Lark were classmates and close, but whenever he approached, they'd suddenly burst into panicked screams. Turning around, he found Horan quietly standing there. She reminded him with just 2 words: food promise. He remembered promising her a meal during a visit to her room. Surprised she still recalled it after more than a month. He told Jaeger and Lark he'd skip hanging out, and they gladly fled, clearly scared of Horan. Free from distractions, he took her to a fish spot, teasing that she looked like a cat who'd love fish. She ignored manners, shoving whole fish into her mouth non-stop. He joked about respecting food. She fired back that eating was all that mattered. He carefully plated fish on rice, telling her to savor the scent, not just scarf it down. The word respect made her blush as she echoed it shyly. Taking his advice, she slowed down while he quietly watched. His mind wandered to weapon-making almost done and the second chapter's early arrival. The new chapter kicked off with dreaded midterms. Jaeger freaked out, having skipped all studying. Lark gave last-minute study advice, but regrets were already too late. Asked about prepping, Corin shrugged off studying, sure he'd ace it without effort. Having taken it before, he expected top rank, no study required. The exam started with the order to turn the page, but the first question threw him off instantly. The math was way over his head right away. His spirit practically fled as he realized he was doomed. Jaeger and Lark checked in on him after the test, curious about how his paper turned out. Still stunned, he admitted knights only needed to write their names. His sheet was blank, while Jaeger managed a few answers. He'd forgotten that studying wasn't his thing before, only expert skills mattered, leaving him clueless on normal knowledge. Refusing to sulk over a paper test, he knew chances to bounce back were still ahead. The scene shifted to the festival hall, the midterm's main event. This easy event offered a golden chance to make up for flunked written scores. Teams of 15 faced outside instructors in skill battles, earning grades based on their performance. Corin, a nominal 5th-ranked knight, expected easy instructors and grinned at the chance to score bonus points by winning. Confident, he prepared to crush any opponent until the crowd's shocked reactions caught his attention. Curiosity sparked about the instructor causing such a stir. It was Lunia Arden making the scene. Her presence there to meet him left Corin equally stunned. The practical test began with an announcement of special guests, shining members of the famous sword family. The legendary Arden 5 Sword Pavilion took the stage. Students charged forward, while Doran sized up the odds. Most foes were 2nd ranked, but only he and Alicia matched that rank. The Arden sword girls readied themselves. They unleashed the Arden-style 5-sword combo. Instantly, they blasted the crowd back, dust clouding everyone's view. Doran realized winning was tough. These pros always blocked vision first. Still, he readied for battle. Suddenly, Milia's phantom sword struck from behind. Doran blocked swiftly with his sword. The clash distracted Alicia. Jenny, lightning fast, seized the chance to close in, marking Alicia as her target. Jenny tripped Alicia, sending her tumbling. Jenny pointed out Alicia's shaky stance without holding back. Jenny kept up the pressure, forcing Alicia to defend hard. Nearby students watched, eyes wide as the 5 swords showed off. The 5 swords knocked down opponents like bowling pins. Only Doran and Alicia stood their ground, still in the fight. Doran unleashed all 5 magical swords, targeting Milia fiercely. Milia struggled to keep up and victory looked close for Doran. Alicia, meanwhile, was barely holding on. Jenny's taunts about her lack of practice kept coming as Alicia defended desperately. Jenny mocked that if Alicia's best was this weak, dropping out for proper training might be wiser. That stung, and Alicia fought back, pushing Jenny away. For a moment, Alicia thought her sharp focus had cracked Jenny's domain, but she wasn't fully locked on, letting Jenny slip past and claim victory. Lunia Arden was meant to face Alicia here, but plans had changed. Instead, Lunia judged Corin's team, leaving him puzzled. Drawing her sword, she declared this battle a taste of a legendary special rank war. These special rank wars were monsters strong enough to challenge entire armies solo. Such disasters were nightmares even seasoned guardians feared to face. Maria and Horan were rare beasts like that, monsters most never met. Tales of them sounded like tall tales to most listeners. Lunia, though, had gone toe-to-toe with monsters of that level. She showed it fast, blasting the area around her to rubble in a flash. Truly, Lunia was a monster among monsters. As students tumbled, Corin hid behind a wall, safe for now. Jaeger, shaken, panicked over Lunia's strength, but Corin explained she was holding back. Serious mode would ended it instantly. He was casually carrying an unconscious Lark, worried the guy might have died if left solo. He warned Corin not to faint. His hands were full, just as a blast slammed him into the wall, knocking him out cold. Lunia dismissed Corin as too weak for her guidance, no sugarcoating. She challenged Corin to step up, leaving only them standing, then snuck a hit that knocked out Jaeger. Corin stepped forward, half joking about surrendering. Lunia basically told him he could if he wanted a terrible score. She knew better, though. Corin wouldn't waste a rare shot to face a top fighter. He smirked, giving away that she saw right through his act. His mind flashed back to past lives where he and Lunia fought side by side. His spear master taught basics, but Lunia was the real deal in combat skills, explaining his earlier loss. He saw a wall he had to smash this life, knowing only his own strength could surpass hers. Lunia charged in fast with her sword blazing, narrowly managed to block the fierce strike. Blows flew back and forth between them. He mostly blocked while she pressed relentless attacks. A brief gap appeared, and he lunged to counter. Too quick to land hits, she forced him back into defense again. The crowd was stunned to see this battle unfold. Few believed a mere 5th-ranked knight could actually hold his own versus Lunia, and started gasping, clearly running low on stamina. Lunia paused too, spotting his energy fading fast. Sheathed sword in hand, he wondered if she thought he'd done enough. But he knew better, this wasn't over yet. Actually, she was gearing up for territory cut, a move hinting at the legendary Sword Emperor Garen's power. Striking a stance that shook the arena, she dared him to match her with his spear skills. Everyone braced, knowing what came next was seriously dangerous. Even the professors tried to stop her, fearing that move would end Corin for good. The test got called off in a rush. Suddenly, the moment she launched the move, the world froze solid. Only Lunia's translucent form and slow-motion sword cut through the stillness. Corin pushed his spear at full speed toward her blade, sharp as crystal in his mind. But his spear didn't budge an inch. The frozen domain trapped him. Only the stop time around him was clear, while he remained stuck. His mind wondered if his success with Marie was luck, or if he still lacked control over the domain. Still, he pushed on, knowing one step forward was all he needed. Perfection wasn't the goal, just touching his spear to her sword was enough. At last, his spear met her sword in a sharp clash. Even Lunia blinked in surprise. Their weapons slammed together with a thunderous impact. Everyone watching froze, jaws dropped. Lunia herself was clearly impressed. Finally, in the end, he managed to react to her deadly domain. She ended the fight, noting his spear was sliced clean. She joked he needed better gear to match his skill. Then her gaze landed on Alicia, frozen in shock. Alicia's domain eyes sparked, mind blown by the epic showdown. It clicked, Corin wasn't here for the test. He wanted to show off his territory power. She asked if he knew about Alicia's talent. He just smiled, knowing he won in his own way despite losing the fight. She said she'd stay in the city and warn him off, no matter what. She'd crush Alicia herself, so no interference allowed. Corin, confident after revealing his territory, knew things wouldn't go the way Lunia planned. The evaluator revealed Corin earned full marks plus max bonus points, a unanimous nod from all the instructors. Everyone buzzed about how Corin scored full marks while facing Lunia solo. Curiosity exploded. Who was this 5th-ranked knight matching Lunia one-on-one? Even professors were stunned. The teacher was convinced Corin was the one who chased after the spirit bodies. Professor Fermat couldn't help but wonder too, why was Corin using those exact same rare techniques? A few days later, Corin headed to a smith, already knowing he needed a top-tier weapon. The smith grilled him about his identity, secret family methods, and rare academy ingredients, but Corin just waved it off. Those pricey ingredients usually cost hundreds of gold. Since no player paid cash, most came from quests and scenarios. But Corin had soul dust, high-rank stones, and even the academy director backing him. He was crafting one of the rarest weapons strong enough to handle territory powers, the legendary Shadow Kingdom Silver Spear, famous and feared. Alicia flashed back to her first real battle out in the wild. She recalled slaying a 5th-ranked beast and feeling queasy at the bloody mess. But human blood was different. She'd accidentally struck a girl, and that scent haunted her. Even at her first human blood sight, the smell hit her hard and fast. Fear shook her. She'd caused that wound, and blood stained her blade. Back to now, those memories stayed sharp and clear. Shaking it off, she focused on snagging a Beowulf for 70 silver coins. Way easier than this morning's vampire hunt in Fog City. Definitely not her vibe. She avoided danger when she could. But there was a secret reason behind picking the Beowulf mission. Clutching the belt she got during her injury, she hoped to track down the person who saved her back then. Suddenly, a ruckus stirred at the train's rear. Turning, she spotted Corin arriving and giving her a nod. The Guardians weren't thrilled to see a 5th rank showing up, especially with the quota forcing student involvement. They kept their distaste low-key. He didn't mind their vibes. His focus was entirely on Alicia. Plus, no one dared speak up around the Sword Emperor's granddaughter, especially with him acting like they were tight. He asked about her eyes, but she took it literally and said they were fine, clarifying he meant something else. She wondered if her sister told him, and he nodded, playing it cool. He warned her sister was dead set on taking her down, fast, or no more sword for her. After a pause, she joked maybe she'd just quit sword fighting then. He doubted she'd actually quit anytime soon. At the Beowulf den, 2 beasts and about 20 hounds waited. The team handled the hounds easily and caught 1 Beowulf. Then things got weird. Monsters flooded out and a creepy fog rolled in. Knights worried about Corin's safety. He was low rank, and the mess was growing fast. Meanwhile, Alicia was on a monster-slaying spree. She realized ghosts mixed with monsters were invading, which was totally unnatural here. With few humans around, spirits shouldn't be here. This felt like a setup. Suddenly, a shadow lunged at her from behind. She blocked just in time. Turns out it was a knight, not a ghost. Confused, she told him to back off. Then another knight charged from behind. She sensed him but couldn't dodge fast enough. The blow hit her hard from behind. The first knight prepared for a finishing hit. Then something snapped inside her. Survival mode kicked in. Without thinking, her sword swung wildly. The knight was sliced into pieces before he could blink. The fallen body lay still before her, a silent reminder of what just happened. Sharp scent of human blood hit her senses, a strong sign of death and fading life. Frozen in shock, it dawned on her she had just taken a life. Before she could react, another attacker lunged from behind. A spear suddenly pierced the assailant's skull, stopping him cold. Corin explained they weren't real people. She blinked, puzzled. He removed the head, revealing these were corpses raised by dark magic. This was the opening scene for Fog City's vampire hunt mission. Usually, the elusive killer Marie Mrs. begins chasing the team later on. Choosing the Beowulf mission led to meeting John Doe, the killer, and fending off his attacks. Suddenly, a shadowy figure materialized right before their eyes. Alicia tensed up, but Corin urged her to get ready to bolt. Corin's spear flew true, striking the figure dead center. The spear lodged in a nearby tree, proof of the hit. The knights blinked, surprised the creature fell to 1 hit. Corin wasn't fooled. A boss that falls so quick just wasn't the real deal, especially given John Doe's stealth. John's voice cut through, impressed by the doll's destruction, but ready to end the fight. His stealth was the real threat. A bright red fog, known as Crimson Haze, began billowing from him. This fog came from an undead mage. When its health hit 0, the deadly fog triggered. Corin had destroyed a doll and its fog-triggering device. This undead was no ordinary mage. John's trick was dolls and fog, making him impossible to track or catch. The death fog spread fast, pushing everyone to flee. Alicia worried aloud about the expensive spear left behind. Corin activated a rune, calling the spear back to him. The spear zipped through the air, returning right to his hand. Corin casually pulled a spear back, proving it was no big deal. A sudden shout cut through the fog, snapping their attention back. Charlie had tripped on a root, hitting the ground as the fog crept closer. Without hesitation, they rushed to help him up. Alicia reached out, offering a lifeline. Suddenly, a mysterious hand shot out from the fog, grabbing her. It yanked her off the ground, suspending her in midair. Corin helped Charlie up, telling him to forget the chaos and escape. Snatching Charlie's robe, Corin plunged headfirst into the fog. He couldn't help but wonder why trouble always found him. He remembered how last time he'd been trapped and near death here, but now with regeneration, he felt ready to face the fog again. The real issue was Alicia, caught deep inside the fog's grip. Blood drained from her fast, time was running out. Panicked, she struggled to slice free, but the hands wouldn't budge. She wondered if her weak grip or stance was to blame. As darkness crept in, her sister's harsh words echoed in her mind. Her sword slipped from her grasp. The truth hit hard. She wasn't strong enough yet. She just wanted to be the hero, to save someone for once, someone worthy enough to impress the one who once saved her. Then Corin's voice cut through the haze, calling her name. His shadow appeared faintly in the fog's swirl. She recognized that familiar voice instantly. It was the voice of someone she truly admired. She realized the voice calling her was none other than Corin. Corin's urgent calls cut through the fog. He checked if she was okay, calm but serious. Overwhelmed and stuck, tears betrayed her fear of fading away. Corin handed her his cloak, urging calm and focus. He steadied her grip, explaining wild swings wouldn't work. Precision and calm were key. Corin promised to guard her from incoming undead while she did her part. Dizzy and weak, she doubted her ability to fight. Corin believed in her rare talent, confident she could succeed if she chose to try. He locked eyes with her, steady and firm. The message was simple. One step was all it took. Then he dashed off to face the undead head-on. She thought about her limits. How long could she really last? How could someone with less aura be so sure? His faith pushed her to stand firm. There was no turning back. Memories of her grandfather's secret cutting technique sparked within her. She activated her cursed eyes of the boundary, seeing enemies' territories clearly. Eyes closed, she gathered every ounce of focus. One brave step crossed into the enemy's domain. She unleashed the Arden First Sword style. This triggered a huge slash cutting through the battlefield. The slash passed harmlessly through allies but struck true at enemies. In a flash, her strike cleaved John Doe, who'd been hiding nearby, in two. Her slash sliced through the forest, causing a ripple in the fog. The fog lifted, clearing the way forward. When the fog lifted, John Doe lay split in half right before her eyes. The knights froze, mouths open, still trying to process what they'd seen. Corin pointed out the fallen figure as John Doe, the feared vampire from Fog City. Even Corin and the knights couldn't believe a human had sliced through the whole forest. Corin was baffled. He expected a simple move, not a forest-shredding slash. Though it wasn't her time, she beamed, thrilled to have pulled it off. The knights whispered, wondering if she'd be the new heir since no one else matched her. Since only the Sword Emperor could wield domain severance, cheers erupted, rallying behind her. Corin stood quietly, thinking, why do my plans always go sideways like this? Or spread fast. Alicia beat John Doe, and everyone wondered the same thing. Who would take the throne as Arden family's next heir? Meanwhile, Lunia's 5 swords scowled at the news, soaking in every word of the growing chatter. Lunia stayed silent, lost deep in thought. The Arden family, famed for sword skill and power logic, awaited the one to succeed the legendary Garen Arden. Domain severance belonged to the rarefied Heart's Path, and Garen Arden had hoped for a worthy successor. Lunia's scarred palms told the story of brutal training, soaked in blood, sweat, and tears. Yet even the so-called genius failed to impress the Sword Emperor. One day, Lunia sparred lightly with her newly sword-wielding younger half-sister, an outsider brought in by the family head. She never saw the kid as real competition, but during the match, Alicia unexpectedly triggered her Eye of the Boundary. It caught Lunia completely off guard. The strike landed, seriously wounding Lunia. The little girl froze, shocked by the blood pooling at her feet. Lunia never saw it coming, caught completely off guard. By the time she recovered, the cut was already there. It wasn't speed. Alicia stepped into a special martial arts domain, shifting the whole game. Frustrated and flat on the floor, Lunia couldn't believe she lost to a chill young kid. No doubt, Lunia was seriously shook. Yet in Alicia's eyes, Lunia saw a spark, something her grandfather had warned her about. Despite tears, Alicia smiled with a fierce, almost spooky talent only a true sword demon could have. Before long, Alicia got the family nod, brushing off doubters to become the top Arden candidate. Memories of gently ruffling her half-sister's hair, neglected but strong, floated back. Back to now. The 5 swords checked in on her, worried but curious. She reassured them, no worries, and hoped one would soon master the domain too. She believed that seeing Alicia's childhood move again could push her closer to that power. So, she rallied the girls to get ready for the upcoming sword challenge. At the infirmary, Corin checked on Alicia, who'd soon be back on her feet in a day or two. She offered Corin some candy, noting how effortlessly chill he seemed. Corin wondered how she pulled off domain severance so fast, since seeing domains wasn't supposed to mean using them right away. She credited his belief in her for unlocking that power. Apparently, she just tried harder. Corin called her a genius who makes hard work look easy. Suddenly, a knock interrupted them. Marie popped in to check on her juniors. Meeting for the first time, the two girls quickly exchanged names. Corin asked if Marie's visit was all about Alicia's recovery. Marie confirmed but raised an eyebrow at their unusually friendly vibe. She gave him a sharp look, clearly wondering how tight their bond really was. Suddenly, a knock came from the window, breaking the quiet. Hanging upside down, Corin waved wildly, asking for that raw fish she'd spotted earlier. Even he jumped at Corin's wild antics, but Marie's nudge reminded him she still found Corin a bit much. Marie's next move, asking if he'd been sharing meals with Corin, turns out that was her real concern. He quickly promised Marie some cooking time together, and just like that, her smile was back. He paused, realizing this quirky group was a surprise team-up of all-stars ready to back him up. He warned Alicia that with rumors flying, Lunia's sword challenge was coming, and the stress hit hard. The sword challenge, a traditional test by 5 masters, once served to settle family rivalries, though it hadn't been used like that for ages. Alicia knew a fight with her sister meant certain defeat. She couldn't even best the 5 swords yet. Corin had a plan to help, but with one deal attached. She'd have to join his squad, obeying every training or monster fight idea. No complaints allowed. Desperate, Alicia agreed, pledging loyalty without hesitation. Deal sealed, she became his official party member. That night, a 5 swords member strolled down a quiet street. Suddenly, an attacker lunged from the shadows. The swordswoman demanded to know the challenger's identity. The attacker declared herself a challenger. It was Corin, claiming the title of Alicia Dojo's knife-style master. Without delay, knives flashed as the fight erupted. May asked why the sudden attack. Corin just shrugged, reminding her of a sushi bet if May got caught. Elsewhere, Corin squared off against Lina, another 5 swords warrior. Lina kept firing the same questions his way. He gave his name and style, Alicia Dojo's Guandoa master, Corin Lok. Then back into the fray, believing the best defense was to hit first, and he was all in. The Alicia Dojo lineup was revealed. Corin Lodge, the Guando-style master, took center stage. Corin wielded knives with sharp precision. Doran Warski's sword with his flying sword style. Marie Dunarev commanded the mystical Gandalf style. Leading them all stood Alicia Arden, the dojo's new headmaster. Together, they crushed the 5 swords without breaking a sweat. Someone asked Corin what was behind their bold moves. Corin just laughed, saying fame was key to building a dojo like theirs. Word spread fast. Arden's new dojo was shaking up the old guard. The Arden Sword Challenge picked the pavilion master and quietly weeded out rivals. Corin aimed to flip the script, turning it into a dojo showdown instead. One by one, they took down the 5 swords in this fresh dojo-style battle. Their real win? Setting up the ultimate sister showdown. Alicia saw victory as her shield against Lumia's entire army. That's why she signed on. Maria handled all the cost, dojo fees, mercenaries, planning to repay once her John Doe quest paid off. Lumia showed up, looking down as usual. She sneered, saying Alicia should have run if she wanted out. This challenge was all Corin's idea. Behind the scenes, Corin pushed her to stand tall and own it. Still, doubt crept in, and she wondered if beating her sister was even possible. Despite the nerves, she challenged her sister to a friendly duel as the new dojo master. Lunia cut to the chase and accepted the duel. She wore no toy swords. This was for real, and Alicia was ready. Swords drawn, the sisters braced for their long-awaited final showdown. Marie watched, thinking even her vampire powers might not guarantee a win over Lunio. Marie checked with Corin on Alicia's readiness. He just trusted she had it covered. Marie trusted his judgment, confident he was on the right track. His credibility score with Marie remained at an all-time high. Before the fight, Lunia tossed a hefty sack of coins, signaling serious business. He thought that was way too steep for just fixing a dojo. She corrected him. It was a full-on reconstruction cost. Lunia lunged at Alicia, launching the first fierce strike. Alicia blocked, but the hit was so powerful it shook the ground. The blow cleaved the dojo behind them clean in two. Corin and Marie were left wide-eyed and speechless. Alicia steadied herself, refusing to back down. Memories flashed of how she once idolized Lunia, like a hero from her grandpa's tales. She felt like a shadow, an illegitimate child her father regretted. Once, Lunia had patted her head warmly after a mission, a rare kindness. That small praise made Alicia's heart swell with joy. But everything changed the day Lunia's blade drew blood. Her hero's act shattered Alicia's world forever. Back in the moment, Lunia readied another strike. Alicia stepped back, expertly deflecting the blow aside. She tried to strike back with a calculated move, betting her sister wouldn't expect such sneaky defenses. Lunia was faster, striking again and forcing Alicia to retreat. She taunted Alicia's footwork, calling it sloppy as always. When that failed, Alicia sped up to throw off Lunia's aim. Using her lightning move, she slipped behind Lunia for a surprise attack, but Lunia spotted her move before it landed. Lunia unleashed a sharp upward slice, but Alicia dodged just in the nick of time. Alicia caught Lunia's attention with a sudden move. That brief distraction threw Lunia off balance. Alicia dropped the sword and went for a surprise tackle. Lunia shrugged off the tackle without breaking a sweat. Her frustration only grew sharper. Lunia answered with a swift kick to Alicia's face. Her move said, did she really think these tricks would work? Swords clashed as Alicia blocked Lunia's fierce swing. Corin's predictions seemed spot on as the fight unfolded. Alicia struck back with a quick combo. Lunia blocked easily but admitted the fight was getting interesting. Still, Alicia was the less experienced fighter here. Lunia kicked Alicia back again, keeping her on the defense. Launching herself into the air, Lunia prepared another strike. The battle surged on without pause. Blows flew fast and furious between the sisters. Each strike met with swift counters. Alicia steadily closed the gap, gaining ground fast. Lunia realized Alicia was finally seeing the fight on a new level. With the battle heating up, Lunia pushed harder, eager to reveal Alicia's hidden strength. Exhaustion was setting in for Alicia, yet she rose, sheathed her sword, and steadied herself with calm focus. Lunia sensed Alicia's resolve. Victory was close, and she matched it with equal fire. Lunia readied her signature move, Territory Cut, with fierce focus. Alicia mirrored the move, activating her own powerful domain Severance. Both charged head-on, swords ready for a showdown. Lunia remembered when her little sister used to chase her, eager to prove herself. The goal had always been to become a cool swordsman like Lunia. Seeing Corin standing behind Alicia, Lunia realized something crucial. That moment sparked a sudden, clear realization. Their swords slammed together with explosive force. Alicia unleashed her domain Severance in full power. The impact shook everything around them violently. The ground trembled as dust swirled up everywhere. When the dust cleared, only one figure remained standing. Alicia stood tall, victorious and steady. Lunia's sword snapped in two. Alicia had won the battle. Corin and Maria exchanged relieved smiles, glad to see Alicia's success. Corin reflected that Alicia's only edge was domain Severance, so stalling and dodging inside the domain was the winning strategy he advised. Leveraging past knowledge of Lunia's moves, they crafted a plan to seize victory in the domain battle. As planned, the domain clash shattered Lunia's sword. Alicia couldn't quite believe she'd pulled off the win. Lunia rose to her feet, unshaken despite defeat. She declared that neither she nor her crew would meddle with them anymore. Lunia walked away without a glance, but Alicia nervously stepped forward trying to speak up. Fear held Alicia back from saying what she wanted. Alicia, the underdog, had beaten the pavilion master and dreaded Lunia's reaction. Unexpectedly, Lunia turned and gently patted Alicia's hand, offering silent approval. Turned out her fear was just her imagination running wild. Corin remembered how their paths crossed way too early last time, totally off script from how things were supposed to go. She searched endlessly, never realizing the real villain was hiding behind Park Sihu's mask the whole time. 3 years later, and she was still chasing ghosts on her sister's anniversary. He once wondered why someone who claimed to hate her sister kept showing up every year. To her, Alicia had always been that clingy, lazy little sibling. But deep down, she knew only she could ease the pain Alicia left behind. It hit him then. She never abandoned Alicia. Even if left in the dust, she'd still cheer her on from the sidelines. Back in the now, she smiled gently and pointed out, again, that Alicia had grown up nicely. That simple comment cracked her. Alicia's tears came rushing in. And just like that, her arc wrapped up, mission checked off. As she recovered, she admitted she always fought fear with a smile, even when terrified. Fighting never felt like her thing, so she stuck to the easy jobs and played it casual. But now, she'd earned her stripes, and even Lunia's crowd would have to take her seriously. Backing out now would mean severing the thread between them for good. Corin made it clear, no, that bond wasn't going anywhere. Sure, things might get weird or a little distant, but a sisterly bond doesn't snap that easy. It holds even through the awkward. He brought up how younger him kept getting stomped by street bullies. It wasn't the bruises that hurt most, it was the regret of never fighting back. Compared to that version of him, Alicia was a champ, and he hoped she'd always walk tall. After all that, she just called him kind of weird. He always sounded like a 50-year-old crammed into a teen's body. Well, technically, he kind of was. She thanked him, plain and simple, for sticking by her through the chaos. Then she mentioned that forest rescue, leaving Corin quietly wondering how much she really knew. She casually pointed out he was the mystery forest hero, no big reveal, just facts. He blinked, stunned. She figured it out from a voice and a belt, and half-joked she couldn't possibly be that clever. She offered him a favor, thinking debt had to be paid. Classic dramatic flair. He shrugged off the drama and just asked to be friends. Simple. She hesitated, then nodded. Having a guy friend sounded fresh. Why not? And just like that, friends they became, no awkward vibes. She secretly appreciated having someone rock solid in her corner. As always, karma kept receipts for the villains. Meanwhile, the nice ones got their glow up. Especially the kids, who started making smarter moves. A few days breezed by. Enter Isabel Carmen, Marie's sharp-eyed bestie. She'd been tailing Marie in the low. Then spotted some guy dramatically. Yep, classic blood offering, vampire flirting 101. Isabel rolled her eyes. It was cringe, sure, but Marie got weird offers like this way too often. What really bugged her? Corin. He'd been hovering near Marie a lot lately. She didn't care about his rank. Holding off Lunia was enough street cred. Still, she trailed them, curiosity kicking in. Then Corin pulled the same blood-offer move. Bold. They disappeared into a room, door locked, suspense activated. Her brain spiraled into drama mode, guessing everything and nothing. Of course, she leaned in, full-on eavesdrop mode engaged. While the dojo lay in ruins, he pitched Marie the idea of an inn on their land, called it an investment, tossed in a triple profit promise, and grinned like it was genius. Isabel, catching only buzzwords like invest and profit, started suspecting she was the business model. He met Alicia in the training room, stretching like it was just another Tuesday. Isabel tailed them and perched above like a ninja, watching the two chat below. Spotting Alicia, she instantly clocked her as the famous Arden family's second-born star. He handed Alicia a Holy Panda voucher, Akafuti Heaven, and she lit up like she'd won a golden ticket. Isabel, decoding it all wrong, saw date spot and assumed he was speedrunning romances. Fuming, she leaned too far, and Karma answered with a clumsy thud. Corin didn't even blink at the crash. He casually pivoted to ask Alicia about her latest earnings. Isabel, now spiraling, tallied flirts and financial talk. Corin was ticking every scammer box. The next day, he treated Horan to sushi, cashing in on a promise with chopsticks. Between sushi bites, he pitched her his next amazing investment, eyes gleaming with ambition. Isabel, now part-time stalker, was still on his trail, notebook probably full. After all that, she stamped her mental file. Corin, certified scam artist. The Lunia showdown cost him 97 gold coins, roughly the GDP of a small village. Thankfully, Marie bankrolled the whole thing. He couldn't help but wonder, were mages secretly loaded? Arnya chipped in 50 coins for rebuilding, maybe as a guilt offering. Alicia bagged 110 coins from the raid, and Horan had her own stash from the Protestant-managed treasure chest. Even Yual, Lark, and Jaeger had rainy day funds. Doran, that guy swam in gold like it was a lifestyle. With 550 gold coins gathered like loot, he snapped up a giant plot of land. For now, it was a lonely field at the city's edge, basically potential with a zip code. But next semester, Merkava's big exchange festival with Borma Academy was about to shake things up. Lodging season would go full turbo, enough to flip hundreds of coins in 2 weeks flat. Armed with future knowledge as the possessor/regressor, he was basically playing on cheat mode. Naturally, he aimed to vacuum up every gold coin the world had to offer, capitalism speedrun style. Back at the academy, the mood was shifting. The director quietly flagged that major powers weren't exactly rooting for the academy lately. He believed the mess was fixable, and Josephine backed him. Everyone deserved a fair shot, after all. He mentioned taking time off. Josephine offered to step in, but the church and she didn't exactly vibe, so it had to be him. He left her in charge, told her to ping the emergency line if Chaos decided to visit. As soon as he stepped out, Josephine dove into the paperwork, denied dorm proposals, and Vampire Region experiments were just the start. And then Corin's name jumped out from the pile. One read in, and she was already questioning his sanity again. He'd actually filed to harvest mandrakes from the academy's backyard. Classic Corin. Out west, Corin and Alicia geared up for a mandrake mission. She figured mandrakes screamed when yanked, nailed it. Corin handed her pro-grade earplugs like it was a rock concert for plants. His prize from hunting training, elite earplugs, he needed her help. Mandrakes weren't a solo quest. One plucked, one sliced. Teamwork was key, or the mandrake would scream like an endless horror soundtrack. Despite 3 past harvests and 1 past life, Corin still felt twitchy. Meanwhile, Alicia popped one earplug out, thinking he was chatting. Then, with a deep breath, Corin yanked a mandrake. Silence for half a second. Then it shrieked like a banshee with a mic. Corin motioned frantically. Sword time? But Alicia, half deaf, just collapsed like a noodle. With her out cold, it was all on him. Knife out, hands shaking. He matched the mandrake scream for scream, like it was a weird karaoke battle. He launched it skyward like a vegetable cannonball. Midair, slice, root, and stem separated. And just like that, silence fell, blessed, golden silence. He glanced over, hoping Alicia wasn't totally out of commission. Corin kept shouting at her to wake up, while his ears leaked actual blood like some horror movie. The silver batch looked tempting, but his legs were already on strike. Alicia stirred awake just as someone yelled over the darner sign they'd totally ignored. They turned, and boom, Marie stood there like crashing the party was no big deal. Apparently, Marie bailed on her test because of the noise, and casually jumped from the 12th floor like it was the front porch. Ignoring all logic, she just squinted at them like they'd been caught sneaking snacks after curfew. Corin mentally hit replay. He'd literally told her this plan before. She snapped out of it, asked about the rest of the harvest, and he shrugged. Today was already maxed out. Marie offered to handle it, but he tried waving her off. This wasn't casual civilian work. Before he could finish objecting, she yoinked out a silver mandrake like she was picking daisies. One scream from a white silver mandrake could be game over. Corin nearly fainted just thinking about it. She laughed, shredded it barehanded, and casually dropped that she'd already harvested 30 this year on her home farm. She guessed he was cooking up some herbal stew, so she volunteered as chef and sent Alicia to grab rabbit and potatoes. Alicia nodded and Corin blinked, unsure what job was left for him. Marie shut that down fast. She wanted full control of this dinner quest. He totally missed the vibe she was sending and just thanked her like a clueless NPC. There were 2 ways to eat a mandrake: raw like a savage, or slow boil it with 30 ingredients, including deer antler soup vibes, for over 10 hours like a potion master. When the brew finally finished, it looked weird, but hey, this was a K-game after all. While cooking, Marie spotted Corin drawing on the ground like he was in art class. She recognized the rune marks, but admitted she only saw them once in a random liberal arts class. Curious, she asked where he learned all that ancient rune stuff. He said it was from his master. Just last year, he'd picked up runes and spear skills from her, unlocking next-level martial arts. But the original runes? Totally different beast. They had to be etched into the body, one user only, no sharing. One mission was to secure the original rune, but she died before she could hand it over. And it all traced back to that one man. Marie wondered if his master was a big deal. He simply shrugged. Just a regular person, nothing flashy. Just someone kind, always putting others first. Marie picked up on the closeness from the way he talked about her. Switching gears, Marie brought out potatoes and called for Diogu, a name Corin vaguely remembered. Diogu, the blood-powered hound orb hybrid, trotted up with potatoes like a proud delivery dog. Seeing the orb fully bound stunned him. Apparently, his blood donations paid off big time. The more she watched it, the more it gave off total adorable pup energy. He joked that, technically, he was its dad. Cue Marie's shy surprise. While he gave it a few pats, Marie teased that dad duties now included playtime. He scoffed, "Not a real dog," right before getting dragged into a puppy-style wrestling match. Marie smiled, watching the chaos. Pretty hyper for a 1-year-old vampire dog. Later, the mandrake brew was finally ready. He didn't hesitate, down it went. A system ping confirmed. Mandrake's herbal decoction consumed. 1 cup boosted his regen and gave him a mana spike, leveling him up to named character tier. He told the girls to chug theirs too, no stacking buffs here, and they looked mildly shook. The leftovers were earmarked for Lark or Yule. Only 1 item remained now, the white-silver mandrake. It had to be eaten root and all, no shortcuts. Once swallowed, another system alert lit up. White-silver mandrake consumed. The payoff? He finally forged his own aura core. Normally a hardcore grind, aura cores were rare storage upgrades, but now he had one, and even potential for a second. Jackpot. Alicia and Mariette were stunned. Just 1 mandrake and bam, aura core? Alicia nudged him toward the gold one, but he waved it off. Later mission. She figured overdosing on miracle herbs was a bad idea, and he nodded along, though he was mostly thinking of different reasons. Back at the academy, the professors had gathered for another meeting that promised zero chill. Still obsessed with Corin's skills, casually suggested a full-on rank reassessment. The rest went sold. Why bother with some newbie who barely clocked in at 5th rank on paper? Fermac dropped the bomb. Corin lasted 3 whole minutes against Lunia Arden during midterms. Shock rippled through the room. One professor claimed Lunia probably held back. Who goes full power to school test anyway? Hammond side-eyed the phrase, "Geo easy," like it personally offended him. He challenged the room. Did anyone really think Lunia pulled her punches? Silence. The kind that basically shouted, "Yeah, no." One teacher insisted that test hype wasn't enough. Rules were rules, and Corin needed receipts. That opened a new can of scheduling worms, and the group promptly volunteered Hammond to deal with it, which, judging by his grin, was exactly his plan from the start. As the meeting moved on, Fermac was still running Corin's stats through his mental calculator. 5th rank seemed laughable. That Lunia duel, unreal, and that spear technique, it stirred up some major déjà vu. The move matched someone he used to know, a very specific someone. With that, Fermac quietly joined Team Remisier. Later in class, Alicia made a beeline for Corin. She planned to sit next to him, and he didn't really mind. Except that was Jaeger's usual turf, and she backtracked fast with an apology. Jaeger just hopped to the next seat like it was no big deal, catching her off guard with how chill he'd become. But that glare? Jaeger was shooting laser beams at Corin, who had no clue what he'd done this time. Corin was getting buddy-buddy with Marie Akamis Academy fame herself, plus the adorable yet deadly demon girl, Horan. And now, Sword Emperor royalty? Jaeger's jealousy levels were hitting critical. Jaeger sulked in his loneliness, the empty chairs beside him echoing his melodrama. Professor Fermac strolled in and kicked things off with his usual no-nonsense energy. The moment he mentioned a group project, the class collectively winced. No one looked thrilled, but Fermac promised it would build character, or something close to that. He reassured them, no math nightmares or undead assignments here. They weren't in the magic track, after all. With a snap, he switched into demonstration mode. Magic kicked in, and the papers danced into formation, displaying the project info mid-air. The big reveal, spearmanship, was the name of the game. A floating image showed a guy holding a basic spear, pretty straightforward. Alicia seemed sure Corin had it easy, but he blinked. Fermac used to be all about boxing, not spears. Fermac was no spear guy, more of a shadowboxing knight from Vercute, known for tricky dashes and enchanted gauntlets. So this sudden spear focus was unexpected, to say the least, especially since Fermac kept glancing at Corin way too often. Corin sensed a challenge brewing behind that calm instructor stare. Hey, the task? Research a spear style, then show it off with flair. A student raised the fairness flag. Fermac nodded and promised bonus points to keep things balanced. Teams of 4, completely random. Cue the internal screams. Corin recalled how these projects were supposed to teach teamwork and unity. In truth, it was survival of the most stubborn. Group projects always turned into a grindfest. He'd been through every group horror story: freeloaders, clueless teammates, and the mysterious wave of conveniently timed grandparent funerals. But this time, the stars might have aligned. Jaeger and Horan were on his team. Finally, some muscle and firepower. Jaeger could follow orders, punch hard, and, surprisingly, had decent judgment. Alicia, the sword prodigy, could probably pick up spears like it was just another Tuesday. Horan stayed fiery as ever, but seeing her focused in class lately had him grinning more than he'd admit. With a stacked squad, Corin mentally buried every past group project trauma 6 feet under. Training plans were set for 3 hours of theory, but reality had other ideas. Loud, chaotic ones. They noted the room was built like a tank. 2 months of use, premium materials, nothing cheap about it. Didn't matter, the place got totaled. One punch from Horan mid-sparring sent the training room straight to renovation mode. What was supposed to be light sparring turned into demolition practice. Horan stayed blissfully unbothered. Naturally, they got banned from the room, now homeless in the training department. With no gym left, they downgraded to pews for their next group meeting. He queued up Jaeger and Alicia for feedback. Alicia apologized for the training mess, praised his moves, and chalked her own success up to good observation, not magic. Jaeger admitted he was still fumbling with spear spins. Corin hyped him up, just a few more tricks and he'd be smooth. Then it was Horan's turn to report in. She responded with snacks instead of status updates. Turns out she wasn't there by choice. Weekend mass was part of the volunteer deal. Corin recalled the nun-in-training situation. Horan clarified it was far from a passion project. He threw in a casual nudge, might as well skim the scripture while stuck here. Saints had stories worth stealing. Sure, the theology felt ancient, but the core message stayed timeless. Love and be loved. Simple. Alicia nodded, calling it a solid takeaway. Love's always a win. She gently poked at the root of yesterday's disaster. Horan couldn't be bothered. Horan shrugged and declared the squad was just too soft. One nudge of power and things shattered. Her verdict: weak stays weak, strong stays strong. Corin stood and agreed. Fair point. But he added that only true strength earned the right to say that, which made her pause. He threw down a challenge. She kneels in 1 minute or she's buying dinner. Horan accepted, no hesitation. Win or not, something was definitely getting broken. The two stepped outside, locking eyes as the pre-battle silence set in. Jaeger gave the reluctant signal, still wondering how this even escalated. Alicia looked equally baffled. Realizing he couldn't stop it, Jaeger braced himself and told them to begin. The air got heavy. Both wore their serious game faces. Corin dashed in, leading with his strongest move like he was trying to end it fast. He unleashed Slithering Serpent, full dramatic name included, for maximum flair. Horan casually caught the attack with bare hands. Yep, the rumors weren't exaggerated. He amped things up with Tiger's Sweeping Wind, palm first, trying to crack her defense. A blink later, his spear snapped like a breadstick in her grip. She raised her fists high, ready to prove that weapons were overrated. He grinned, mentally awarding her the Destruction Queen title. He weaved through every punch like he had cheat codes for dodging. He danced around her strikes and threw in some well-timed shade. The taunting hit harder than his dodges. Her patience wore thin. She gave one last warning, clearly done playing nice. That right fist came with a promise. Ignore it and wake up in a hospital. Corin did the mental math, hospital stay versus pride, and decided, maybe not. He flexed with 8 trigrams, linking chains, choosing block over brains. He blocked it clean, but his body screamed betrayal. Horan blinked, genuinely stunned. He actually blocked that? She hesitated for just a beat. Big mistake. Corin zipped behind and tapped the back of her knee. Down she went. Alicia blinked, stunned. Jaeger's jaw practically hit the floor. True to his word, he made her kneel, right on the 1-minute mark. She asked for round 2, but he waved her off with a smug grin. Win's a win. Her irritation grew. She kept pushing for another round. He refused again, teasing her about how mad she seemed. She clenched her teeth, stuck with his non-stop teasing. After some effort, he tamed the group's rebellion and began patiently teaching spearmanship for their presentation. Then Horan sent a sick excuse, skipping the session and telling them to go on without her. Obviously lying, she tried to dodge responsibility. As troubleshooter, he had a plan to fix that. He baited her with a dinner invite. A whole table of food appeared like magic. Drooling, she got the message. Eating meant no more pretending sick. The temptation was real. Refusing wasn't an option now. She gave in, munching away while admitting the sick story was fake. He asked how long a chef takes to make a dish. She guessed 30 minutes. Wrong, he said. Chefs train for 10 years. From hunting ingredients to perfect prep, chefs spend a decade mastering their craft before serving. She asked his point. He shared it took almost 3 years of training just to make her kneel once. Her favorite fish and his martial arts shared a key trait. Mastery started with tiny details from ingredients to stance. It all began with small details, memories of long training under his master flooding back. Horan was speechless, caught off guard by his heartfelt recollection. He asked if they were good to go now. She slammed a notebook into his face. That was her answer. The notebook held her fully completed research for the group project. He patted her head in praise. She just told him to back off. Alicia and Jaeger practiced hard. Thanks to Horin's research, he had time to prep the presentation. Groups presented in order, those before Corin started their pitches. Group 1's leader, Powerless, kicked off with his 5-star spearmanship topic. His group kicked off their presentation, impressing everyone with their clear preparation. Fermac gave Powerless some praise after their presentation wrapped up. Then Fermac announced a challenge to break their formation, leaving Powerless puzzled. Fermac Damon, ex-top knight from Northern Guardian Academy, slammed his gauntlet down with authority. He declared lasting 10 seconds would earn full marks. Then the real test began. He ordered them to block, but they barely had time to react. His notepad flew up mid-air like a signal flare, and he closed the distance in a flash. In a blink, all 4 were taken down by his lightning-fast combo. Jaeger gawked at his speed. Corin realized Fermac wasn't even trying yet. He caught the notepad mid-fall, noting their choice was good but practice was lacking. Not terrible, but not great. He handed them a B-. Powerless' bruised team retreated as others whispered giving up against Fermac might be best. Group 2's leader loudly hyped their 9 deadly dragons spearmanship, diving into every detail. Before the leader finished, Fermac wiped them out, calling their style overcomplicated and poorly learned, then gave a C-. Next was Group 3, Corin's team, pumped and ready. They planned to show the 8 trigrams, Lan, Na, and J styles, kicking off their demo. Jaeger took the lead with Lan, focused on deflecting strikes. Alicia followed with Na, pushing down opponents' weapons. Corin finished with Jia, aiming precise stabs at openings. Corin beamed, proud of their clear pass and Horin's surprising effort. Fermac was impressed too. Simple, clean, no wasted moves, solid principles. Then Fermac said only Corin would continue the next part. Just the 2 of them now. Fermac checked if Corin objected. Corin smiled, cool with it, guessing this was Fermac's plan all along. In a flash, everything sped up. Fermac dashed forward again, lightning fast as ever. Just before his right punch landed, Corin read the stance, expecting a block on the right side, but Fermac's weight shifted on his left foot instead of right. Knowing Fermac was left-handed, Corin blocked the left punch, spotting the right-hand bluff. Fermac froze, surprised at Corin's insight. The earlier groups watched, jaws dropped at Fermac's speed. This was nothing like their first encounter. Even crazier, a 5th-ranked knight matched him move for move. Fermac wondered if Corin had truly leveled up beyond a student. Still, Fermac was eager to see Corin's full skill. Not just the basics, but the true art of that spearmanship style. Corin stood calm, a confident smile playing on his lips. Fermac struck, the blow shaking the room while Corin didn't budge. His group watched, stunned and tense. When the dust cleared, Corin hadn't moved an inch. Fermac's fist stopped mere inches from Corin's face. Silence hung between them. Fermac broke the quiet, questioning Corin's stillness. Corin's calm reply, the 10 seconds were up. Corin sensed Fermac's skepticism. Fermac had only used his right arm, pretending to be right-handed. Corin's block proved he knew Fermac was actually left-handed. Fermac turned, calling Corin his martial nephew, leaving the meaning hanging. Fermac paused, reflecting on Group 3's performance. Many chase flashy moves, but Group 3 proved basics hold the real power. The professor meant to praise Group 3, not just Corin alone. Group 3 earned an AI cheering wildly, except Horin, who just stood stunned. Amid the cheers, Fermac called Corin aside. Nerves kicked in, but he followed. Fermac eased the tension, saying it was just a casual one-on-one chat. Later in the office, Fermac questioned if Corin truly matched a 5th-ranked knight. Corin's skills didn't quite match the rank, but he shrugged, saying he was decent. Secretly, Corin couldn't sense spirits well, only trapping some under rare conditions. Fermac revealed the faculty had debated and decided Corin needed re-evaluation. Corin would face missions alone. Results would decide if his rank changed. Highest allowed was semi-first rank. Corin liked the idea. Higher rank meant better pay and more mission choices. Normally this perk came only after his 2nd year. Fermac said the test meant 2 solo missions. 1 monster, 1 evil spirit, both semi-first rank. 4 missions awaited. 2 monsters, 2 spirits. Corin's task was 1 of each. Choosing missions made Corin a little nervous. Later, Corin and instructor Hammond entered a foggy forest. Hammond reminisced about past foggy hunts. Corin figured the mission wouldn't be dull with stories. Hammond happily shared wild tales from the west, and Corin soaked up the wisdom. Hammond described the slow but deadly twin-headed ogre in the western mountains. Corin wondered why this one ranked lower than usual. Hammond explained the ogre was a juvenile raising hunting dogs, so Corin ruled out a frontal attack. Hammond agreed, adding his role was to assess all of Corin's skills, not just muscle. They arrived at the western mountains, near the ogre's cave. Hammond and staff stayed back to avoid interfering. Help meant Corin failed the test. Hammond asked Corin to share his scouting report. Hammond spotted tracks of 2 animals after the ogre. Corin added 1 was a pregnant female. Corin pointed out drag marks, suggesting food was moved, not eaten right away. Since these beasts don't save food, they must be feeding an injured pack member, a detail that impressed Hammond. Hammond asked Corin's plan to hunt the young twin-headed ogre and its long hound guards. Corin planned to isolate the ogre first, knowing the hounds are alert to danger. Hammond was puzzled until Corin admitted he'd rely on his brains, not brawn. Luckily for Corin, he was a pro at outsmarting beasts. Even with humans spreading out, some demonic creatures still ruled wild places. Some beasts still stood firm, threatening humans who dared approach. The forest tyrant was one such creature. The twin-headed ogre ruled this forest like a demanding king. The two long hounds caught a strange scent first. The pregnant hound, unable to move, had vanished. The males immediately began searching frantically. Drag marks on the ground confirmed trouble. It was clear someone had kidnapped their female. The pack's furious howls shook the forest, warning intruders their ruler was angry. The males barked fiercely, pushing the ogre to hunt down the kidnapper. The dogs raced, their noses glued to the scent trail, with Corin close behind. In their forest, nothing escaped. Now the intruder faced the pack's deadly wrath. The chase ended with the female hound whimpering helplessly on the ground. The males nuzzled her, checking she was unharmed. Just as they moved to help, a trap snapped shut nearby. Suddenly, a massive log hurtled toward them. Two hounds got slammed into a tree with a brutal crash. They were totally squished against the bark. The last hound got buried under a pile of falling logs. That hound quickly understood the hunter had become the hunted. Panicked, it bolted, desperate to escape the chaos. Spotting a tree-free clearing, it hoped for a safe break. Gasping for air, the hound struggled to steady its breath. Suddenly, glowing runes flared up right in its path. The hound knew this nightmare was far from over. Human tricks exploded in a fiery blast of malice. Flames roared as the ogre stepped out, unscathed and fierce. Watching its loyal hounds burn, the ogre's fury grew. All his faithful servants were gone in smoke and ash. The forest shook with the tyrant's furious roar. Another trap snapped into action without warning. Logs flew through the fire straight toward the ogre. But the mighty ogre shrugged off the attack without a scratch. No doubt, he was the forest's undisputed ruler. Little did he know, the real hunt was just kicking off. The twin-headed ogre was born to hunt, no question. One head saw sharp, the other sniffed sharp. Tracking prey was a team effort. The ogres spotted tons of tracks. How could their hounds fall to such a careless prey? Still, day one ended with no catch. Despite the trail, the prey always seemed just out of reach. Reluctantly, the hunt paused for the night. The prey launched a surprise night attack using glowing rune stones. One ogre head stayed alert, waking the other as magical hail pelted down. Grabbing his club, the ogre smashed the falling runestones to bits. The hail seemed harmless, barely scratching the ogre's thick skin. But every time sleep came, the hailstorm returned like a stubborn alarm clock. Ignoring it didn't help. Fiery boulders soon set the forest ablaze. The ogre tore through the burning woods, but the prey left only footprints, never showing up. On day 3, reality finally hit the ogre hard. The ogre's shock turned to furious despair. Now they were the hunted, not the hunter. Then the cause of their fury appeared, cool and collected. Corin showed up, unfazed, joking the fight was too much hassle and urging to finish it quick. The ogre growled loudly, ready to charge. It lunged straight at Corin without hesitation. Corin stayed calm, eyes locked on the ogre. Then he sprinted toward the charging beast. Mid-run, Corin leapt, leaving the ogre momentarily puzzled. The ogre swung a massive birchwood club, aiming to crush Corin like a bug. But Corin grinned mid-air, ready with his spear and a legendary ultimate move. He launched the infallible single attack, hurling his spear at full force. The ogre raised his left hand to block the strikes. Instead, the spear shredded the ogre's left hand and ripped through his right side. Corin didn't stop, flowing into the 8-trigram technique next. With trembling chaotic genesis, he landed the finishing blow. The forest's tyrant was finally defeated. The mighty ogre ended up as human prey. Game over. Corin yawned, still not quite used to his fully charged aura core despite all the effort. With the battle over, Corin quietly hoped Marie was holding up fine. Flashback 3 days. Corin visited Marie and casually asked how much she trusted him while they ate. Nervously, she admitted she'd trust him, even if he claimed he could make kimchi from potatoes. That's serious trust right there. Corin was impressed and asked how far that trust went, catching her so off guard she blushed and accidentally spilled her blood. Despite that, she assured she was all in. Corin then shared he had a plan and needed her help. He began explaining Marie and Alicia's teamwork starting tomorrow, but she cut him off seriously before he could finish. She questioned why another girl was involved when it was supposed to be their plan. Corin didn't catch her meaning. Despite being a veteran guardian and special rank vampire, she was still young at heart. Corin's awkward wording rattled her more than he expected. Young though she wasn't naive. She knew things were more serious than they seemed. She'd seen Corin always ahead of trouble, with plans ready. He saved her and Alicia, earning her deep gratitude. She wondered how much Corin really knew but let doubt fade. Her heart leaned toward trust, granting her secret crusher's request. Many mages dream of teaching thanks to the huge Merkava library, but the giant experiment building on the Academy's edge also pulls interest. There, rare ingredients wait, like a special ranked demonic beast sealed away because it couldn't be killed. Inside, Professor Dana asked Fermac if he'd read about the beast, a boar that swallowed iron mines and devoured a hidden mine plant. Fermac inquired about her research on alpha traits of special rank entities. She confirmed her plan to study their effects on lesser creatures. He asked if his job was to engrave runes on the beast. She agreed and felt lucky Fermac, a nearly extinct rune user, was helping. Fermac said runes were fading because they're tough to use. Only knights with tons of mana like him could pull it off. As Fermac began drawing a rune, a knock came at the door. Marie arrived. Dana joked about not expecting a special rank vampire to volunteer, but quickly apologized for the tease. Marie didn't mind, the label was accurate anyway. The two special ranks met. Marie Dunarev, final boss of Chapter 1, and the King of the Iron Mountain, final boss of Chapter 2. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button until explosion. See you on the next video.